Hi, this is Naroki5. I am going to be doing this until I die or I find something better to do. So please help me achieve this personal and, I think, noble objective by contributing to my Patreon or Subscribe Star. Link is down below. Every little bit helps. Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Red Pill Nation Hangout number 420. If I sound a little bit, run down or tired, it's because I am. This is the last of the shows that I have to do to play catch up, and then there's Sunday, which is the regularly scheduled show for this time. And then that will be it. I will be back on a regular schedule. So far, Rearson and why am I continuously blanking about? I keep blanking out about Roger's name. I just keep continuously blanking out about Roger's name. I don't know why. But yeah, those two might be along at some point. I'm really desperately in need of some sleep, though, so we're just going to get this show started. If they jump in, they jump in. If they don't, they don't. I'm not going to worry too much about it. Two people, we might be able to get through these bullet points fairly quickly, although, again, Mark is not necessarily into the same sort of stuff that I'm into, so we'll see. All right. Announcements. I am not so sure about tomorrow because we're doing RPN today. I might do it Saturday, though. I'm going to attempt either Saturday or Monday. I'm going to attempt my first ever Rumble live stream. I'm going to pay for Rumble and start doing live stream. The live stream, by the way, is not going to be... RPN is more of a general channel where I talk about culture and politics and the manosphere news. The live stream is probably going to be more manosphere centered, talking about other things. We're talking about how when I called Rearson, he accidentally hit the phone, and I heard some groaning noises in the back and some strange, undecipherable language. I think may have been alien talk. So he might be with the aliens right now. Oh, hi, Roger. Nice of you to join us. With me tonight are Mark and Roger. So, Mark, introduce yourself.
Hi, Mark Edworthy. Mainly a Minds user, so yeah, you can find me on minds.com/Medworthy.
All right, and Roger, introduce yourself.
I don't know how well you can hear me or not. I got on here.
You're coming through loud and clear.
Yeah, it could be a bit higher, but it's not too bad.
I can hear the fan, though, for whatever reason, but that
could be me, actually.
So, yeah, my name is Roger Hansen. You can catch me on The Wonderful World of Weirdness. I also have another channel called Strange Stories, and as well as Live with Roger Hansen on Rumble and YouTube and all the other popular places, I guess. But that's about it. Other than that.
All right. So for those of you who don't know, I am right. The channels just keep growing, like without me even really. I used to have to post up 4 and 5 videos to get a hit. Now I just seem to be growing almost like organic. If you tend to a garden, it will grow, unlike YouTube where you have to please the masters. But even on YouTube, my numbers still continue to go up. I passed 40 on YouTube here today, and I'm now up to 41, which, of course, is just a fraction of what I used to be at on YouTube. But I'm not promoting YouTube very much. But yeah, the channels all continue to grow. For those of you who don't know, I am at, in order of number of subs, BitChute, Rumble, MGTOW TV, Odyssey, Brighteon, and of course, YouTube. I am also at Facebook, Minds, Gab, MeWe, Getter, and TLB Talks, and I will be posting up some content on those channels here because right now I'm in my uploading phase at work here. Basically, every channel, every video that I've recorded over Christmas time, the videos have now been compiled, except for this one. So yeah, I will be in a position to post up all of that stuff probably tomorrow. And then, like I say, the live stream will do the regular RPM, which will be 421. Topics not finalized, obviously. That one will be done. The regular one will be done Sunday. And then, like I say, either Saturday, tomorrow, or Monday, depending on my mood, I will get a subscription to Rumble, and I will start to do a live stream on Rumble. And again, like I said earlier in the show, that is going to be mostly a Manosphere related content as opposed to Red Pill Nation. I'm not sure how it's all going to work out, but you know what? I just need to keep myself out there. I need to keep myself going. And I need to kind of like start paying a little bit more of a tribute to what got me to where I was going. Now, the topics for tonight. And we have 7 of them. And again, like the 2 guys that I'm talking to probably don't know about topic number 7 all that much. But the rest of these are all, you've all kind of heard of them a little bit. Topic number 1, legislative branch attempting to squeeze through KOSA, Kids Online Safety Act. Topic number 2, terrorist attacks in New Orleans and Las Vegas on the same day. Topic number 3, leftists attempt pathetic new tactic, otherwise known as the woke right. 4, Democrats attempting to use 14th Amendment to stop Trump from assuming office. That one's a laugh. Topic number 5, surprise! Bluesky has turned into a leftist cesspool. Bluesky has turned into a lot of things since all the butthurt people decided to leave Twitter. We'll be covering Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook for 421. Topic number 6, Canadian mainstream media using astroturf campaign about Trump annexing Canada. Yeah, that one seems to have taken on a life all of its own. And I mean a life all of its own. Thank you, Roger. Good to see you back. And topic number 7, and again, this is a Manosphere topic, Brittany Venti retiring. I have some less than flattering things to say about Brittany Venti. She did, though, have a very impressive rack. Of course, you totally expected me to say that because that's the type of guy that I am. So with that aside, let's just start with the first topic, which is KOSA. Now, not overly surprised that this is the one that they're trying to squeeze in. I suspect that this is the one that the Liberals in Canada are going to try to squeeze in as well when they reconvene Parliament, which, by the way, is not going to be brought back now until late April. KOSA has got a lot. Well, it resembles Bill C-61 in Canada quite a bit. It is worded very vaguely. It is worded in such a way that it makes it fairly easy for federal regulatory agencies to go after and shut down content producers. Strangely enough, too, it actually doesn't really do all that much for kids, which is really weird because, I mean, to quote the quartering, the more benevolently sounding the bill, the actually more harmful it is. Yeah, it bears a very strong resemblance to Bill C-61 in Canada, or the bill I can't remember what the name of the bill in Britain that they passed, or what?
You're talking about Bill 63, not 61. 61 is related
C-63.
to National Clean Water Act.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. You're seeing a restrictive bill like this come up in literally every Western nation. It is not that big. I don't know how the vote went because the vote went down yesterday, or not yesterday. No, it was yesterday. Yeah, the fact that of all the bills that they chose to push, that the Democrats chose to push this one says a lot about what the Democrat Party is like. Now, is Trump going to actually sign the bill, or are they going to try to get it pushed through the Senate before Biden? Because it's only 11 more days. Like, are they going to try to push it through the Senate before Biden leaves office? I don't know. I'm almost certain, based upon how the bill is, and without being overly familiar, but based upon the similarity between this bill and all the other bills that are going on in certainly the Five Eyes, if they can get it passed and sign it into law before Trump assumes office, they will. Don't know the full status on this, but it is not how it's worded. KOSA is not worded how it's worded. It bears a very strong resemblance to C-62, and where Ed Worthy was talking about what the name of the bill that is in Britain, and they are going to try to push all of those through, or attempt to push all of those through, while they have favorable governments. And again, I am not completely sold on either Trump or Poilievre, although Trump has gone on the record as to say that most of the executive orders that Biden has been signing in the past month are going to be overturned the moment he takes power, but we'll see. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mark.
Okay. Couple of things. Funny enough, me and Roger was just talking about the various acts and bills just before we came on air. You're talking as far as the UK is concerned, that has already been passed last year, or was it like year before? I think it's actually dated 2023. So yeah, with the UK Online Safety Act. I've just been earlier today. I was reviewing the Hansard transcript of the Canadian C-63, which has got an extremely long name, and act to enact the Online Harms Act to amend the Criminal Code, the Canadian Human Rights Act, and then act respecting the mandatory reporting of internet child pornography by persons who provide an internet service, and to make consequential and related amendment to other acts. Wow, what a title! Which is amusing when you consider the US it's called the Kids Online Safety Act. But that's I believe, from my reading of the Canadian bill, that has not completed its second reading. That was done in September last year, and has not been completed. So this could drag on for quite a bit of time, in effect, as far as Canada is concerned, and more than potentially will drag on considering Canadian politics at this present moment. I've not reviewed the KOSA, the US KOSA bill, technically, at the moment. So I'm not absolutely sure about the exact wording. But saying that, both Australia has got a bill, the child harms or the minor harms bill or something, online harms bill, and obviously the Canadian bill, and the UK has already had legislation for, and also the EU has got both the Digital Service Act and the Digital Markets Act, which were passed in, I think, 2023, which is related to this. So I don't know. Is the US going to buck the trend? Potentially. Again, I've not read through the bill, so I'm not absolutely sure about the word in that. But I'm curious to see how it affects the First Amendment in the US. I need to fully review that. Me and Roger was just having a discussion about Twitter, X, and Elon Musk's role in all this, and it becomes. I know you're going to speak about this in the next episode, but potential of causing a lot more ramifications, a lot more problems than has already been considered, including things like trade with the US. But who knows? We'll have to just wait and see what actually happens over the next couple of months, really. I'm holding my breath that anything good is going to come out of this, but you never know. Yeah. Anyway, Roger, got any thoughts?
Oh, with me, I just when I hear stuff like this, it just like you have a lot of people who are radicals, like real hardcore, socialist leftist radicals, but then you have the conservatives. No, I'm not even gonna call them conservatives. I'm gonna call them national socialists. And the whole thing about them is they don't believe in small government. So every time I hear stuff like this is a bunch of national socialists who are trying to cling on to or trying to pretend like they're part of the conservative party, and they're coming up with these ideas that sounds conservative, but they have no intentions of trying to work towards any kind of small government, which our government was founded on. So what they want to do is they want to regulate everything. And don't get me wrong, I thought it was a good idea when YouTube finally stepped in and said the kids under 13 shouldn't be able to stream online. I don't think that kids should be manipulated by the internet, by these corporations making money off of their streams. So I'm okay with that. But when it comes to the government and setting down regulations, I think that's a lot of bureaucracy that's being put in place, and I don't really agree with all of that. And you hear this stuff all the time, that people mix it up for something that's supposed to be what our country is about, and that's not how we are. We're not supposed to be big government. We're not supposed to be pushing all of these regulations and big government. It's actually supposed to be the opposite. And it doesn't matter what side of the lines you are, if you're a Republican or Democrat or whatever, and you're pushing big government, then you're going against what what we stand for in the United States. We're supposed to be small government, and that's just how I feel about it. So that's all I got.
Just on those points, socialism by nature is all about the increase in the states. We're talking about classical liberalism, obviously, small government, more individual rights, more individual protections.
Well, that can go a little bit too far too. Like excessive individualism is the radical branch of what's going on now. Like when everybody talks about this new woke movement and everything, that's 100% radicalism. It's like the far left for classic liberalism. You have liberalism, and then you have radicalism. And these people believe in constitutional government, but they believe in excessive individualism. And that's
something. Something that I've made an argument about in the past, especially in relation to the entire cryptocurrency ecosystem, is that everything in its own place. Regulation is good if it is there to protect the consumer. I mean, as an example, you wouldn't want banks to be non-regulated. You would like to know that you're protected by regulation, so you can go to your local bank and cash out the money that it's holding for you. So yeah, regulation is good, but, and a major but, too much regulation is not so good.
Napoleon wanted to get rid of the banks.
Indeed. Well, that's an argument.
You got a problem with Napoleon, dude? What's up with English people and French? You guys just don't like French people.
Remember what we did with Napoleon on that island? I don't know the name of the island now, but yeah.
That's all I gotta say. And Captain Sinclair's here. Better be careful. Naroki. He fell asleep again.
No, I didn't fall asleep again. I was. I'm trying to find footage for the. Trying to find some photos for the next topic. Yeah.
You guys are talking shit about me again, aren't you? I know what you're up to.
We just said Captain Sinclair. That was it. And then we said Napoleon.
Talking shit about Jaffe and I did the Captain Sinclair. Come on now. Hey, Naroki. You and Mark actually, you guys are slated to, I'd like to have the two of you on sooner rather than later as far as that feature show is concerned. Not this Friday, because we got five shows that we need to work post-production on, so we're really swamped and a lot of things on the go here, but maybe next week, next Friday.
Okay, well then looks like guess what, guys? Looks like I'm gonna be moving my live stream to Monday then.
Okay.
Jeffrey, remind me during the week. Just send me a text or send me a message just to remind me about times and dates.
Okay. Don't forget to remind me Friday.
I'll try to email you or whatever. I'll just keep you guys posted. It's just the true crime business regarding Vancouver and the Queen Justine Castro tie-in to it all, of course, right? Picton's Pig Farm. Some really dodgy stuff going on there, folks. 1 or 2 degrees of bacon.
Yeah, I wouldn't be. Well, I mean, again, I've still got a P. Diddy episode to do. There's a bunch of interesting stuff I found out about Vancouver.
Mark, this is with you, Naroki. You and Mark are going to be the feature guests on our show.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. Don't forget to remind me then.
No problem.
All right. So yeah, let's move on to the next topic here. Because we kind of got So I guess, yeah, all right, folks, because I could trust me, I could use the day off anyway. Because I'm still not fully caught up from Christmas yet. This is the last of the shows that I need to do, get caught up before Christmas, and then I got to do you and somebody else shows that I got to appear on, and then of course gonna be starting up a live stream, which is now going to be Monday. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, let's move on to the next topic here. This is a very interesting one because there is some very, very suspicious coincidences between the car bomb outside of with the Tesla car outside of one of Trump's hotel in Las Vegas, and the guy who decided to use his truck as a battering ram down Bourbon Street in New Orleans.
And the man responsible for the truck attack in New Orleans is said to have built 2 bombs with a very rare explosive compound. Senior law enforcement officials said that the compound has never before been used in a US or Europe terror attack. Investigators are now exploring how Shamsuddin Jabbar learned how to produce these explosives, whether he was taught by an individual or an organization. These bombs were found in coolers on Bourbon Street, the same place where Jabbar killed 14 people and injured 35 others by ramming a pickup truck into a crowd. Jabbar was killed in a shootout with the police on the day of the attack. FBI said that if New Orleans police had not responded as quickly as they did, Jabbar could have detonated the bombs. On social media, he declared his allegiance to the Islamic State group. The FBI continues its probe into the attack. Investigators say Jabbar had earlier visited the city on apparent reconnaissance missions. Once recording the location using camera-equipped glasses, they said that he also traveled to Egypt and Canada in the 2 years prior, adding that they are trying to determine if he was radicalized during one of these visits.
Copy. Both of these guys were at the same military base around the same time. They're not of the same ethnicity, but both of them have some very, like, I don't know the full story about what happened in Las Vegas. There was apparently a manifesto sent to a well-known streamer, and it was not determined whether or not it was actually real or not. I haven't really had much of a chance to look into it because, Christmas and so forth. And the terrorist attack in New Orleans, the other part on this is really weird because it's another person using their car as an instrument of death in that's what you look like, Jaffe. Okay, now I know. As an instrument of death. This only 2 or 3 weeks after that car ran through that Christmas market in that one town in Germany. The individual who did that in the United States, he's apparently a Muslim, but he was born in the U.S. and he's a second-generation Muslim. So he has American citizenship. Oh, here's the other really weird coincidence about this. They both used rented vehicles from the same company. Yeah. Wow. So there's a curious overlap here. I got a chance to listen to some stuff that Terrence Pott said about the Vegas attack. Now, he was actually comparing like the amount of evidence left over from the Vegas car bomb, to some of the suspicious evidence that was found during the 9/11 attack. Like they somehow managed to find the passports of the perpetrators, the rubble, all of the debris that came out of the plane. And they managed to find a bunch of identification and whatever from the dead body that was in the car, which was apparently the perpetrator, which is really weird because at least according to Terrence Popp, like the amount of explosive used on the Tesla was enough that it would have literally burned and incinerated everything that wasn't plastic, or wood or anything. Like it was super hot in there. So how they managed to find this ID and all of this paper in there is like gives you a Now it should also be noted that the Tesla vehicle self-drives too. So it was parked there by choice. Both of these attacks happened apparently, like other than the actual perpetrator itself, nobody died in Las Vegas, but there were plenty of deaths in New Orleans. The perpetrator in New Orleans was killed. And here is the really weird part about it, also about the New Orleans attack. The mainstream media bent over backwards to try to avoid calling this an act of terror. And it was only after some people got close enough to the body of the New Orleans attacker that people noticed that the guy had an ISIS flag on his truck. So it was, there's a lot of stuff going on here. Terrence Popp was also saying that apparently, according to him, some of the people he knows, because Terrence Popp is ex-military, according to Terrence Popp, there could be as many as like 15,000 enemy combatants in the United States. So these type of terrorist attacks inside of the U.S., thanks to, of course, to a certain, thanks to Biden's open border, and here's the thing.
Order out of chaos. It's all been done intentionally. It's not like there's no accidents to politics, as FDR told us years ago. If it happens a certain way, it's meant to. It's intended and for a particular reason. It's just all order out of chaos. And now here comes Trump he's going to take care of business. He's going to, resolve all the problems that have been laid out on the table, or that's at least the thinking, right? So we'll see. But
either that or they're going to try to blame Trump for all of this stuff,
sure.
Which, by the way, considering that topic number 4 is about trying to use the 14th Amendment to stop Trump from assuming office, that's not off the table either. But anyway, since Jaffe spoke up, Jaffe, you can go next.
I haven't looked into the whole Las Vegas, New Orleans business, but what you're saying, it does resonate and ring true from the little amount that I have come across. And it has all the what do you say, the earmarkings, or just the markings alone. It's a standard operational procedure, the modus operandi, textbook, almost the way like the Oklahoma City bombings, similar type deal, and the recruits, people that they have involved in these operations. Timothy McVeigh, his background, obviously. Did these two perpetrators cross paths at the military? Was it a college or school, or it wasn't like West Point or anything? Not anything exactly
I'm
of that.
trying to remember what the name of the base is, but they were at the same base more or less at the same time.
Here's the thing. This guy, the little bit that I did read, that I came across, the guy out of Vegas, the Tesla, as you say, he was elite, top special forces commando or what have you. Like he was cream of the crop military. And I'm not even sure that the person that they claim was found dead in the Tesla was actually him. He might have been swapped out because, the body was probably burnt beyond recognition. And as you say, once again, I didn't hear. This is the first I've heard about ID being found in the vehicle, and it just resonates. It's the same thing as what you hit upon there. Is September 11th, the passport, everything just being completely disintegrated. While, what was it, Muhammad Atta? Was it his passport being just found on the ground, pristine condition? Pristine condition. It's like, come on, people. And then always, as always, you have to disappear the evidence as soon as possible, right? Destroy and disappear the evidence. So, well, these are major crime scenes. The insiders, the powers that be, and they're just following orders. This is what we've been told to do. That they see to it that everything is made complicated, or at least there's less of a chance for any investigators to actually come up with or clearly see any potential alternative theories, which could have proved that there was very well had been and was a something other than what we're being told through the media. So I've gotten to the point in my life now where there's kind of like with George Carlin, what he said, that he does not trust a bloody thing, not a single thing whatsoever that the media or his, any government really tells him. They're all full of shit, and they're all promoting these agendas to, I guess, so that their interests can be further strengthened, entrenched, upheld, and we're endlessly being gaslit. Whether it's man-made climate change, the whole. I hope we're not live streaming through BoobTube. I don't even RBN.
No, we're not.
It's just,
no, I don't. This is just Skype. Yeah. I'm not the first live stream doesn't come, and it's going to be on Rumble. That's not going to be till Monday.
Good. Well, you're finally getting around to doing that. It's great. So, but man-made climate change, the whole business of the 2020 elections, shit you can't talk about, right? It's like, oh, geez, you can't. And if you do, you have to toe the line. You have to totally parrot what the powers that be are telling us to. What are the three? The man-made climate change, the election, and the kill shots. The whole scamdemic nonsense. And those are just three, contemporary recent examples that it's just total nonsense. Just like George W. Bush told us, Skull and Bones 43 made quite clear: catapult the propaganda. That's what these people are all about. And George Orwell, repetition equals truth. He knew what he was talking about, and he knew the way that the media as an institution functions, even to this day. So I'll leave it at that.
Okay, Mark, you're up.
By the way, let me just say, for people that don't know, and you are muted out right now, Mark, so we can't hear you. But yeah, I'm Jaffe Ryder, host of Pirate Radio Podcasts. This is one of my cats here, or our cat's hanging. You can see. Here, hang on, show him your ass.
Yeah, your cat, your cat doesn't get a say.
Yeah. So, but WPRPN.com, the World Pirate Radio Podcast Network, the People's Pirate Network, and Pirate One Radio at protonmail.com is our main email address. And just check out our show schedule to see when we generally stream, and hopefully, reach out to us, folks, and let's continue to make some good things happen throughout the course of 2025. Period.
Okay, Mark, you're up.
I find it quite amusing that the FBI actually originally came out and said that neither of these cases were terrorist attacks, and then had to only within a couple hours had to backtrack. But I'm going to say,
why would they do that, Mark? Why would they do that?
Orders to stop scaremongering, potentially. I can only guess it was orders from their leaders or their
from on high.
Yeah. I'm going to say something that is controversial that could potentially, hopefully not, but potentially get me into a bit of hot water as far as UK authorities are concerned. I'm not sure about Matthew Liversberger in this relation, who is the suspect, or was the suspect in the Las Vegas incident. But Samish Din Jabbar is suspected, or was suspected, of being a Shia Muslim.
And as compared to Sunni, so what are you getting at?
Yeah. There's argument to be made that Shia Muslims can be much more orthodox in their thinking, as far as the Quran is concerned. There is also the question of what happened in Germany. There was a riot on New Year's Day that was related to the crash of the terrorist attempts on the Christmas markets back in December 21st, which I think the riots caused, was it 5 people to die, and let me just remind myself. 5 people to die, and I think up to 400 arrests. But my point is that this is all related to also what's happening in the Middle East at the moment in relation to Hezbollah, Hamas, and the entire Iranian and Middle East and wider Middle East issue. There is a fault within the more, I want to say extremist, but I'll keep with the word orthodox. The more orthodox Shia community all nations must abide by their ideals. There is a sort of religious, I want to say jihad, but yeah, I've used the word jihad in this respect. A removal of various other religions in favor of Islam.
What's this got to do with the wider issues that are currently we're seeing unfold within the greater, wider Middle East? You didn't really finish off and explain that.
Well, my point is that if the New Orleans attack is related to religious purposes, then, and if it is related to Shia, the Shia sect, then there's the question of there's the concept of Shia pushing their ideologies by any means possible. And therefore, if disruption, if terrorism is necessary in their views, then so be it. Really. So yeah, I suspect we are going to see a lot more of this in the coming year. Not sure about America per se, but yeah, more than likely, but especially in Europe. I don't know. I can't really say very much because I believe that both of these cases are still ongoing. So
yeah. Well, open, and that's exactly, this is the open borders. This is exactly what happens. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's not complicated. It's obvious that you're going to have these sleeper cells active, but also let's not rule out the possibility of, Manchurian candidate type people who have been recruited into special military programs, and their minds have been messed with. You know, that they've been programmed to do really wild and crazy, foolish things that ultimately end up costing people's lives, but help to using terror as a means of promoting some wider agenda, which is a question here that arises, at least, like what would that be in these instances down, via New Orleans, and what was the note that you said to have left behind in Vegas? There was some note, and where was? Don't tell me that was found in the vehicle, because that would have incinerated immediately, as paper.
One point I did see in some news clip couple of days ago, is that these Tesla vehicles are well built from an outside sort of perspective. The shells, these cars themselves are well built. And the theory is that even if they do catch on fire, the fire will more than likely retain within the vehicle. So there would, unlike what we've seen with various EV explosions over the last year or two, where the explosion causes a fire that spreads out. As far as Tesla's concerned, it seems like that any sort of fire could be contained within the vehicle.
Was that what happened then? Was that the case, or is this just you speculating?
I'm speculating from what I've seen, but again, this is a ongoing case, so we'll have to wait until the findings have been fully reviewed.
Did he just say he's
it's speculation at the moment?
Oh my goodness. I think I've seen everything. I've heard everything. Mark Edworthy is making a speculation.
It's the end of the world as we know it, man.
Yeah, it is. I think we're going to have to refer to the terms of service with this.
I know. I try not to speculate, but I'm just relaying what I've seen.
That's all we can do, man. That's all we can do. Is based on the information that we are exposed to and that provided with, that we can put on our thinking caps and exercise critical thinking skills. And, that's why it pays to get together, I would argue, with people such as yourselves, after we've sort of filtered the news reports and tried to reach more maybe plausible conclusions as to what has actually transpired regarding any one story or the next.
But yeah, we really have to wait until the reports have been completed and then review it from there.
Roger, I mean, I'm not sure what Naroki thinks here, but if Mark is done, probably he wants to hand the talking stick over to Roger.
For me, all of this shit sounds fishy as hell, because like the FBI statement, for one thing, that the FBI gave out for on January the 1st, it brought up some stuff there that they were still trying to figure out how he came into possession of the vehicle for the attack on New Orleans. Then in Las Vegas for the Trump hotel, apparently Elon Musk was able to get video camera footage of the guy pumping gas, or not pumping gas, but getting charged up, because it was one of their electric trucks, I guess. And then he was able to unlock the vehicle after it exploded, because once it exploded, it locked the vehicle.
You're talking, this was Musk himself?
Elon Musk, yeah. And
So he had a direct role. He played a direct role in this event.
after it was all said and done, he was able to pull up video footage of the driver of the Tesla Cybertruck
At a gas station.
Well, they don't call them gas stations. It's one of those energy things where you freaking use electricity instead of gasoline.
All right.
And they had him at one of the stations, and then after the vehicle exploded, the truck locked itself. It auto locked, so he was able to unlock it after the explosion had occurred. Now, if it was really that bad of an explosion, how the hell was he able to unlock anything? You know what I mean?
Certainly, there are safety. Well, you don't want to be inside a vehicle when it's exploding.
Well, I'm just saying, where's the electronics, dude? You know what I mean?
To open it.
Okay, like NBC News. Their headline was "Deadly Tesla Cybertruck Blast Outside Trump Hotel." Right, deadly Cybertruck blast, which supposedly only injured 7 people. See, it only injured 7 people, other than the dead driver who was the bomber. You know, but this is supposed to be.
The usage of the word deadly in this context is related to headlines in the newspapers, really.
Right, exactly. And the thing about this thing with ISIS, okay, this just shows you how freaking much of an amateur the guy was, okay? Like, anybody who was hip and cool and up with the new trends in terrorism today would have used a better terrorist organization than ISIS. I mean, come on, dude, seriously. That's like 2015, dude, seriously.
It is just a small, it's just one organization within a broader
seriously
spectrum.
Though, if you were wanting to claim some kind of terrorist group in today's world, would you really say that you are part of ISIS? I mean, come on, dude. Seriously, they haven't been active for what, 5-6 years now, maybe even longer.
I think they are active. Just that you don't hear about it. Because they're not active in the US doesn't mean they're not active.
That's because they got their asses kicked back to Nineveh, dude. That's why.
Again, we got to look at this on a much more global political situation.
I don't buy it that these guys are organized with it and actually affiliated with some terrorist group. It doesn't fit the profile. It's been almost 9 days now, and not one terrorist organization has taken responsibility for these attacks. Not one. You see, so
it's got a
terrorist groups are notorious for taking credit for what they do. Like, once they do a bombing, they love to take credit. Okay, not one single organization outside of the United States has taken responsibility for this because they're not stupid.
Well, I mean, yeah. Here's the thing. I mean, none of the so-called Middle East terrorist organizations took any responsibility for that guy who did the run through the Christmas market either. That's really strange.
That makes you think about that too. Was it really an actual terrorist attack, or was it some psychopath that the government said, "Hey, let's pin this on the terrorist to piss people off"?
Okay, alternatively, it could be somebody who a psychopath who believes he's associated, who has the idea or wishes to further the goals of an organization.
Mm-hmm.
And may not actually be affiliated with.
Exactly. And stuff happens all the time. Like, I think that guy who did the killings with an axe, he cut that one woman's head off. I think here in the United States, they said that he wasn't affiliated with a terrorist group, didn't they? He just went nuts and decided he was going to go down the street and freaking try to kill everybody he could get his hands on.
I'm not sure I'm going.
It happened a while back, but like they said nobody ever took responsibility for that either, you know. and that just doesn't fit the profile when it comes to these terrorist groups, you know. Now, and plus, like when you talk about terrorist groups, man, we've got local terrorists right here in the United States. You know, it's not just Middle East. We've got plenty of them. I mean, you guys have, well, heck, you got the IRA. They were freaking killing people for the longest time. You know.
I'm not sure if the IRA is still.
Well, I mean, they were at one time.
But yeah, there was a much more socio-political argument. There's war, a sort of proxy war as such. But yeah, there was a much more wider thing as far as the so-called Irish troubles were concerned.
Things are just
date back over what 100.
Things are so crazy.
Potentially 300 years.
Things are so crazy now. Like, I still suspect the group that's affiliated with Kamala Harris. Okay, I think those are extremists, kind of like the hippies back in the '60s that used to go on killing sprees for peace and love. Yeah, that's kind of the radicals. You know what I mean? They were like really, really hardcore about it. It just seems odd to me that 2 presidential attempts was done, assassination attempts was done on Trump. Then we ended up having these situations happen. And all of this happens during the time that Kamala is running for president. You know, it just seems really odd to me. I still can't let go of that. I think that she, you know.
Okay, that's
Well, here's the really weird thing, and we're kind of getting off topic here, but I mean, I know, like, I mean, all of this really heavy-handed stuff happened after Trump beat Biden in that debate. That's when the desperation really started to ramp up. That's
great.
You know,
I'm not sure if there's a direct correlation or relationship between the two.
This is an assumption too, Mark.
Yeah. But just thinking, so easy with the.
I agree with Naroki on that, though. That's kind of what I've been getting at, though. It just seems too odd that all this stuff has been ramping up since, well, yeah, right around that time. You know,
Remember,
really does.
we've had terrorism, these sort of terrorism issues in Europe for the last 5, 6, 7, 10 years.
Well, I'm talking about here in the United States. Like, it's really amped up a lot. And then let's not forget the school shootings, too. You know, we've had 2 or 3 of them so far since Kamala.
Well, that's related to the state of education in the US, and well, that's several different factors in that, but yeah, mainly in relation to the state of states education in the US.
You know, crazy kids who are hooked up in a bunch of radical ideas. Like, nobody really knows why the last 2 happened. I mean, it was like the kids just went into these schools and started shooting things up. Like, nothing was ever put out why they freaking went on a rampage.
Well, I mean, here's the thing about, anyway, we're really getting off topic here. Why did I just lose my whole train of thought? I mean, what the hell, man? I just lost my whole train of thought. Okay, you know what?
Jaffe's so amazingly, so captivating on camera, just so completely intense, and everything you could possibly want in a co-host and guest companion. Let me I'll add my 2 cents while you collect your just kind of, you know, thoughts.
I can't remember.
It'll come back. It'll just give it a few seconds here. Watch. It'll come back. Trust me. It always happens to me too. So it's chemicals though. First, a lot of these young kids, they come from really, it depends on the upbringing and background. They're oddballs to begin with. Typically, it seems, and then they've also got this whole the LGBTQ trans. That's been a really kind of common thing that we're seeing time and again. But all down through the past, for the, you know, in the last past 20th century, in particular, the rise of the with these shooters in America, in particular, they're on some sort of antipsychotic drug. They're big pharma has got them, and whether they've been chemically lobotomized, or just are being because of what they're taking, their whole headset mindset and where they're at, with their headspace is being manipulated and engineered by big pharma. So, but it's something that the news people never mention, and I think hopefully most of us here know why that is. And the state of modern day journalism is absolutely and utterly, it's shameful, and just there's nothing good a person I can say about it, frankly. It's far from ideal. So the journalists are, look, even like Anderson, Panderson Pooper. That's the best name I can come up for the guy. He's actually a Vanderbilt. But anyways, what a greedy little person that guy is. Something like 2/3 of his salary. Do you know where it comes from? It's not CNN. Do you know who pays? You know where he gets his salary? It's big pharma, and I think Pfizer in particular. It came out just this last year, and it's not just him. It's a lot of these Mockingbird media insiders. Well, they might not be CIA, card-carrying CIA members directly. They certainly they operate as assets. There's no doubt about that. And they and also just look at the way they function with the teleprompter approach to, it's all scripted. Everything they're reading. South Korea here, it's the exact same thing. Totally disgusting. And but people are so stupid, basically, and dumbed down for the most part. It's really it's a sad state of affairs. Although there is more of an awakening that we're seeing, and with that, there's also the powers that be, the technocracken, makes it's they've got moves that they have worked out long in advance to counter any potential pushback or resistance in where the people do really kind of come to see the light, as it were.
This is really related to the long march with institutions argument.
You're breaking up a little bit.
This is not happening.
Yeah, you are breaking up.
Okay, this is related to my sort of long march through the institutions argument. The concept of pushing extreme radical socialism throughout Western world.
Fabian socialism is what people need to keep an eye on. Just the history of Fabian socialism, the Frankfurt School, the whole cultural Marxism and the Cultural Revolution out of China, the way that we're seeing that now mirrored in the West, the tsunami, the flood of fentanyl throughout the West as well, and how it's like almost really China and some major karmic payback from what were the Opium Wars, either historically, but either way, these vested interests and establishment Illuminati bloodlines, really, if you look at things a little closely, is what you'll often find, that they're cashing in completely, on with big pharma, as well as the illicit end of things, more, substances that are more prohibited. So, but the impact is just devastating, clearly. I don't know. Is this applicable? Like, what is the focus and the point that we were supposed to be kind of hammering away at and hashing over exactly? What was it, Naroki? You said we're a little bit kind of restrained on
terrorist attacks.
Yeah, we're really off topic.
That's okay. Whatever. Okay.
Let's move on to the next topic here, because we really went off into left field.
This one's ridiculous, though. This is horrible. This next topic is.
What's that? I gotta put my glasses on.
You're gonna have to read this. This is horrible. Like, I can't believe Naroki brought this up. But then it's Naroki on top of that, so it's like he comes up with the weirdest shit.
Oh, this one came up via Tim Pool, and I looked at it, and it's like, well, Jaffe was just talking about cultural Marxism. This is basically another attempt.
Yeah.
This is just basically another. This is something that I think is going to have to be addressed to a certain extent with the Secretary of Education. Also with Doge, I think, is that you're going to have to remove, to a great extent, the leftists' ability to manipulate the language. Because, I mean, for instance, today on Facebook, the whole thing over at Games Workshop over female custodies is getting incredibly heated. And there was an individual on there today who literally tried to argue me to death. But I'm still here, so obviously he didn't argue me to death. But he tried to argue me to death that no, woke means that you're aware of social injustices in the world and you want to do something to fix them. And it's like, no, that's not the official definition. And then he said, yes, it is. And it's like, and he tried to like, I can't remember the source, but he gave me a source, and it was like, my jaw just dropped because, I mean, it was, yeah, this is something that they attempt to use. They will also try to project onto your opponents the very things that they're trying to do. Now, are there some aspects about the right that are unsavory? Yeah. And I'm going to probably raise Jaffe's ire here. They seem to be hyper fucking obsessed with the Jews, for starters. They also tend to be a lot more into the into racial politics, free market, that sort of thing. They've got a different slant on things, and their techniques are also the way they engage in censorship and whatever. Like, they have different styles of engaging in the same acts that the far right and the far left are actually not really all that different. But one of the things that is unique to the left, because I have, like, even when the right was at its peak, which was back in the 80s, I never saw, at least in North America anyway, I never saw the conservatives try to manipulate language. That seems to be something that is reserved, although I'm not a political scientist. Although I did take political science for a couple of years when I was in college. That appears to be an aspect of the left, is to try to control. And in fact, as a matter of fact, I could get into, because it's actually backfiring on them. And I will probably be covering this in part on my live stream on Monday, is the fact that, you know, they tried so hard to try to take control of the quote-unquote official online sources to try to define what the manosphere was and what the various factions in the manosphere were. And what's been going on over the past couple of years with the manosphere is that you get these people and they come in and they do these sophisticated attacks against the manosphere, and their information is incorrect, because they went with the official sources that they went for the official sources like Wikipedia and whatever, and they didn't bother to actually go over to the manosphere groups and start asking questions there.
Or they're straw manning. So you say, like, misrepresenting or straw manning.
Yeah, and what they do is they I mean, with the information they have, they're really proud of the work that they've done, but it's sort of like, you know, and this is something, and I remember talking to, I mean, I didn't get into a deep conversation with Rollo Tomasi about, but I mentioned this to them. It's like they wasted Like this one particular woman, Mooncat, she wasted an entire month doing this quote unquote well thought out video about the manosphere where she totally debunked the manosphere. The only problem is that she totally debunked the manosphere as presented by the mainstream media, not by what actually goes on in the manosphere. And it was very easy to debunk her because most of her facts were wrong. This is something that the left tries to do. They try to control the language. They try to misrepresent the facts. And they also will try to project onto their opponents the same things that they're trying to do. So this woke right narrative is an attempt by the left to accuse the right of the same kind of tactics that they're doing. And basically, oh, well, anything you don't like, you just call woke. And yeah, is there a little bit of that on the right? Yeah. The only problem is that a lot of it is actually true. And this is an attempt to kind of create confusion and to get kind of dismissive about the term, because their attempt to, and there's people who actually believed it, want to moderate what the definition is, because that seems to be, and that seems to be a tab that doesn't, again, it appears to be a tactic of the left. From animal farms, some animals, all animals are created equal, and then it gets changed to all animals are created equal, but some animals are more equal than others, and it's like, what? Same type of thing, right? They do this a lot. Now, does the right have some issues? Yeah, they got some issues. I mean, I don't particularly like their bent towards religious fundamentalism. That is a right wing trait.
Yeah,
and it does kind of disturb me. I don't like their.
When you're talking about the right in this context, you're talking about the more extremist rights. You're not talking about the moderates.
No, I'm not talking. I'm not talking about boilerplate conservatives. No,
we need to get behind the whole left-right paradigm, sort of. What is it, like a spectrum of sorts? It's a false. People get hung up in this abstract.
Well, there's something called horse.
Just drop it and go beyond. I mean, for conversation's sake, I guess it's sort of necessary in some ways that we use it, but understand, like the point you made earlier, I think Naroki, I think it was you talking about how at the most extreme, and it's many people have noted this, that it's like the two heads of the snake,
horseshoe
right, like Stalin and Hitler. They're both at the same. They're in the same place, really.
Well, they both employ. Yeah, they both.
Who the hell wants to live under in a regime or society like that where you're completely, unless I guess you love being a slave, but your individual rights are they're totally denied and subservient to the state on every possible count.
So this is the newest tactic, and it was a really interesting one because it didn't just grow organically. It suddenly just appeared, which strongly suggests that somebody in a think tank somewhere thought it up and just went to their sources and said, this is the new term that we're going to use, which, by the way, is also a tactic that the left employs a lot more than the right. And that's not to say that the right doesn't have their techniques as well. But again, right, this whole thing, I mean, some of the people that they've accused of being, and by the way, woke right is not far right. Basically, what they're trying to say here is that, oh, well, the right just is saying that everything is woke except for the stuff that they agree with, and that is not true. But it's an attempt.
No, quick question here: Have you and the rest of the other fellows here has anyone or maybe everyone, have they taken the political compass test?
Yeah, I have. I come out one of two ways. I come out, and this is going to sound really.
Well, hold on, before you tell us, can we guess? Can we maybe guess where you come out?
Yeah, you can guess.
Okay. Anyone want to guess? I don't know, man. I guess you'd be a little right wing. Who the hell knows? I really couldn't tell you. Right wing, maybe but with the lower right, is it the upper right, more libertarian kind of right? I guess.
Yeah, libertarian right. Well, actually, whenever I do the political IQ test, I come out centrist with a very, and this is going to sound really freaky when you listen to me, with a very strong social democrat bent. Not a really strong, but yeah, a lot of people are surprised.
Classical so hold on, centrist, but like left leaning.
Yeah.
So what is that to the lower left quadrant?
Yeah, lower left. Yeah, social and like libertarian left is basically it, but not really deep libertarian left, not really deep on either one of them. Depending on my mood though, and this is where Jaffe comes to it, I will come out deeply because I've done a couple of different versions of the political compass test.
Yeah.
One of the other ones has me being deep libertarian, but just slightly, we're talking like literally half the square or a square to the right.
So it just depends on how the questions and how they frame things, I guess.
Yeah. Personally, I'd take these with a bit of pinch of salt.
Again, Mark?
Because
it's or what, Mark?
Mark, you're breaking up again.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
I consider myself to be a classical liberal centrist.
Yeah. Did you take the political compass test, though?
I have a few times, but again, I take it with a pinch of salt because it's dependent on questions, and also it depends on your mood at the specific time.
So, yeah, sure.
So yeah, I don't quite buy into a lot of.
Well, but what were the results? How did it read?
Some time ago, actually, to be fair.
You forgot?
Well, those are social.
I would have to redo it, but again, I'm quite skeptical on.
Roger, you don't agree with? You think those the political compass tests are rigged?
I think they're socialist propaganda. I mean, take a test to figure out what socialist group you're a part of. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What? But what?
Yeah, let's set up some polls. What do you think socialism is, dude?
It's all you could be very libertarian too if you want to. It depends on how you respond, so
you know that the Libertarian Party here in the United States is bought and paid for by the Koch brothers, right?
Well, that wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, so it's all a rigged game, man. The whole thing, it's all a rigged game. But anyways, who else are we missing out on? Well, Roger, where did you come out then? How did it
and we're still talking about the leftist attempt on the woke right?
Oh, the political compass. We'll come back to that in a second. I curiosity sake, political compass. I'm really,
Well, when it comes to like this leftist attempt for woke right, this is a good example of what we're talking about. To be honest, and I mentioned a little bit of it in the earlier one about you have these national socialists who want to pretend like they're conservatives, and you can usually pick out which ones are actually conservative.
But they are conservative, man. How are they not conservative?
You can usually pick out which people are conservative and which ones are national socialists by halfway through what they say. First, they'll come out with real conservative ideas.
All right. Okay. Well, fine. But answer the question.
Halfway through. Let me finish. Let me finish.
Weeds, man.
Let me finish.
Let Roger finish, please. Thank you.
Yeah. Let me finish so that I can explain this the way it's supposed to be explained. Okay. Now, what you have these national socialists who want to influence you and make you believe in their ideologies, but they want to sneak into the conservative parties and pretend like they're conservatives. Now, conservatives believe in organic government. They believe that government grows up out of the area that they're in organically, and that's how they believe. National socialists believe that government should be regulated, that everything should have a regulation put on it, and everything should be mandated. conservatives don't believe that. They believe that there should be regulation, but not excessive regulations. And that's something that's hard for people today to understand because they're in a world that is just completely flooded with socialist bullshit. Okay, if you listen to a conservative talk, they will always talk about their freaking heritage. They'll talk about their culture. They'll talk about their religion. They'll talk about organic government that grows up around them naturally, and it's not forced on the people. That is a conservative. Now, when it comes to this woke right, when you hear people talk about that, that's usually socialist or national socialists talking shit because people like me are calling them out on their bullshit. Okay, I know what a national socialist is, and I know what a conservative is.
Okay, give some examples of high-profile national socialists, wolves in sheep's clothing, as it were, that are like part of like social media, that names we'd recognize.
Well, here in recent days, it's actually been the young conservatives in England that are really notorious for it. You'll find a lot of members.
Oh, like the Lotus Eaters?
Yeah, they're the ones that are. Me and Mark actually had a conversation on one of the guys that did it. Now, there's actually good, strong conservatives in England, but you have to really look for them. It's usually the older ones that are that way, but you'll see a lot of the National Socialists.
All right. Well, what about via North America?
Well, via North America, what you have there is you have George Bush Sr. all the way up to his son, George Bush Jr. That's See, now that's another conversation right there about the neocons.
Yeah. But we're talking like high profile.
High profile.
One's dead.
Okay, get one person at a time, please.
These are high profile. Okay, neoconservatism is another word for National Socialist. George Bush Jr., George Bush Sr., they were neocons, and they had a National Socialist agenda. They didn't have a conservative agenda. Ronald Reagan was a conservative, okay? And that's something you need to understand there, too.
In a contemporary context, what are we looking at?
You're looking at people who want to push National Socialist reforms. They want to come in, they want to put state IDs as mandatory for freaking voters. That's a National Socialist agenda. You have these people who are just insanely obsessed with freaking border patrol, and they freaking know damn well that the United States was not traditionally, had nothing to do with border patrol. It's something that National Socialists put in play. You actually see that being spread all over the freaking world now.
So you support open borders?
I support freaking the states taking care of their own immigration problems, not the federal government. Okay.
Yeah, so, but I'm still curious because, like, people like Jordan Peterson, Elon Musk,
Jordan Peterson is a good example of National Socialist.
Dave Rubin, Tim Pool, Candace Owens.
Peterson is a perfect example of a National Socialist.
Okay, fine. Next.
No, I don't have to say next. That's
no. Okay, good. Like, I mean, we don't have to drill deeper on. We'll set that aside for now. What about Tim Pool?
No, Tim Pool. I've never listened to him too much. He drives me nuts.
Okay, I can say something about Tim Pool. Tim Pool has taken the political compass test. He comes out, and this is going to sound really, really weird, but he comes out left, even further left than some of the hardcore leftists, but he also comes out deeply libertarian, like deep libertarian.
All right. And Walsh, he's another one. Walsh is straight National Socialist.
Who's that?
What's his name?
Matt Walsh.
Matt Walsh.
Yeah. Okay, I don't know.
Okay, I don't really know too much about that. What I can say about this is that, again, right, we're getting back to the original point here, right? Like, this is basically an attempt. Like, by the way, whose turn was it to speak? Because we lost total track of that.
It was mine. We're on track there. Yeah, we are on track.
Okay, yeah.
This is good though. This is interesting. I think it's applicable to what we're
Yeah, it really is. It hits it right on the nose. I mean,
Sure.
this woke white or this woke right term, it's just it's
gotta
a
get
far right bullshit term. Basically.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's because it's a uniquely North American thing. Because again, right, one of the other things that's been falling apart is that, I mean, the mainstream media and the left have used far right so much that it no longer has any punch. Yeah. Just like accusing somebody of being a Nazi is rapidly losing its punch too, because everybody's a fucking Nazi. Then
those are ad hominem attacks. You need to call that out right off the bat and just say, you know, like that's people have a lousy arguments if they resort to ad hominem attacks and all various rhetorical tactics, then you just call them out as having no argument. You know,
I do. Here's the thing, though. Enough people actually believe this, and I mean, again, this is something that I have noticed a lot of lately, and this is something that I think is going to increase as 2025 rolls along. What you're seeing is a lot more like literally just inflammatory rhetoric coming out of the left. And the part of that is because it's like they're a cornered cat now, and they know that they're losing, and they're just basically coming out and just throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks. But this one, for some weird reason, has managed to kind of stick to the wall, so it needs to be kind of addressed. Does anybody else have anything more to say on this particular?
It was funny. I only heard about the entire woke rights thing a couple of weeks ago. I think it was Carl Benjamin, Sargon of Akkad's one of Sargon of Akkad's video. It seems like a bit of an oxymoron to me. I would
likewise continue.
I just checked the Oxford English Dictionary's definition of wokeism, and the OED states that wokeism is a progressive or left-wing attitudes or practices, those opposing the social justice. It's mainly a left-wing idea. And when I say left-wing, I think it's good to just remind ourselves what far left and far right means. Far left being a sort of globalist form of socialism. It goes back to Marxism, and far right means a national socialism.
It's Jewish Bolshevism, man. As far as I'm circumcised, Jewish Bolshevism. Call it out for what it is.
Well, also don't be fooled by this whole idea of what socialism is. Your ideologies and shit like that means nothing to socialism. The only thing your ideological ideas are used for when it comes to socialism is a way to manipulate you to conform to those socialist ideas. Okay. They're going to classify you in the area that they feel you need to be, and that's where they're going to go according to those tests they want you to take, okay? And that's what socialism is about. It's not about what you believe and you don't believe. They're going to use that to manipulate you and put you where they feel you belong. That's socialism.
One of the major points of socialism is to to put people into certain blocks.
Compartmentalize. Compartmentalization.
Indeed. So, hence the entire issue with trans issues and calling people, labeling people. Let's say, you are gay, therefore you must everything. The trans, the LGBT plus whatever concept believes in, and if you are a person of color, therefore you must believe in everything that the rest of that race believes in, which is a racist point of view in the first place. So
That's all.
I'll be
That's the way
social
they do it.
basis.
Wait, excuse me, racist perspective. In what sense? How are you?
You are. We've seen this over the last year. You are of a certain ethnic. Let's say you are a white person, therefore you must believe everything else that your group believes in, or what your group is meant to believe in.
Yeah, just same thing with black people. If you're a black man, you should think the same way that every other black man thinks.
Yeah, mix and mingle only with your same type and color, and
that's
marry, of course, and reproduce accordingly.
And that's a socialist idea.
Well, racism, the way too, so time and again, you find it framed. This is where, once again, we see as a classic example of these issues that it's a straw manning. I'm not sure how much the gaslighting is quite predominant as well, but the just the way that the framing of the issues, we're sold a false bill of goods so often. So racism, for me, the first thing I really think of, and I'm not sure where this comes from, but it does have deep historical roots, from what I understand. It has to do with what Mark, I guess, is referencing, referring to, and maybe Rogers sort of hit on here too. That it's not saying like, oh, you nagger, or saying like, oh, that making some derogatory remark regarding someone's ethnicity, running them down in that sense. Or for that matter, thinking that even your group is better, or that because you're born a certain color or what have you, that you're superior to others. No, that's secondary. What's first and foremost is this idea of homogenous living and existence within and among your own kind. That is racist thinking. Like David Duke, I believe that's the sort of thing that he is big on. Him and
well, he's like one of the biggest white supremacists in the United States. Right?
Yeah, but okay, fine, but the blacks have their own thing too. The radical.
I'm just like, if you want to know what a neo-Nazi is, that's Duke. I mean, he straight up admits it. He openly admits it.
I don't know. Has he ever said I, David Duke, am a neo-Nazi?
Yes, he has. And the most amazing part about it is he still can hold government office. Like, people vote him in. People still vote him in. Not?
I mean, there's enough communists that are they've been voted in over the years and continue to do their thing. And
I'm just pointing out that they do exist. I mean, just because people are bringing it up more doesn't mean that you need to really lose track of the fact. Yes, Nazis and neo-Nazis, they do exist in the world, and they are out there, and there's
radicals of all kinds, man. So exactly. Well,
all of them are still out there.
It's a big world. We live in a diverse, world of all sorts, and that's why like, as an example, I don't understand, Trump, for example, where say or you could have the same with the Democrats and Kamala running for office and having these radical so-called leftists supporting her that most people find to be quite just too much, too excessive and over the top. But that so they purport to, for whatever reason, because the policy stance that these candidates adopt, that a lot of people like it, and also these radicals are drawn to it and state, that they offer their support as a result. And then to disavow, they said, the press, come to the candidates like, well, don't you disavow these radicals, the KKK or the Nation of Islam, or just these crazy people that are supporting you? Like, I don't understand why the candidates don't point out that we live in a large, diverse world, and that their party is, it's a large tent that it offers, and that anyone is welcome. Frankly, anyone is welcome. But And you know,
I like to go back to the Martin
for
Luther
whatever
King,
reason, you know, more
speech.
votes, the better.
Yeah, I like to go back to the Martin Luther King speech. I have a dream speech about judging people by the character rather than the color of the skin or any other arbitrary.
Of course.
Point.
But some people just they can't. They're not able to see it that way. But of course, that's the way that we should be, obviously. Because here's the thing. Once you bring here's one issue, at least. Once you bring reincarnation into the picture, that really it changes the reality. It shakes things up in a big way. You know, assuming that in the past, for argument's sake, that we were maybe Native Indians or people on a slave ship from Africa, or you know, name it, like just living in Europe or maybe South America, or who's really to say. So to be too overly hung up and attached and proud of your ethnicity, to me, that and nationality, like, you know, is really ridiculous. I think it's fine to stand up and support and try to strengthen your you know, people's communities, obviously, and the country that they live in, and not allow others to trample all over them.
See, that's where
what they stand. You know,
see, Jeffy, that's where
reincarnation is a big deal, big thing.
Remember how we were talking about the difference between conservative and national socialism?
Yeah.
Now, that's the trick right there, okay? What you just said there makes sense in a conservative view if it's organic and it grows up from the community.
Open-minded.
Okay? But there's National Socialists who don't want it to grow up naturally, organically from the community. They want to force these socialist ideas onto people.
Uh-huh.
And they want to make it to where they're regulations and that you have to follow it.
Yeah, you're and punished, punitive as well. But the thing is, what did we do to achieve any of this? Like our ethnicity, we're born to two parents at a certain time in a certain place, as either, you know, man or women or something in between, and so on and so forth. You know, with all these different attributes and qualities, whether more intelligent or not quite as bright, or the way we look in appearance and what have you, or for that matter, the nationality, not just ethnicity, but nationality. We did nothing. What the hell did we do? Maybe you could say it's our karma, fine. So it's our karmic inheritance. Okay, that I guess that's applicable. But pride of that, like, I take pride in my race, or I'm proud to be an American, you know.
I blame it on Europe.
Or proud to be a man, or proud to be a man.
I blame it on Europe and England.
The indoctrination to make, you know, for
the whole socialist ideology, I blame on Europe and England. Half of the responsibility goes on those bastards from England.
I'm proud to be Muslim. You know, like, what the? Why?
I'm proud to be English.
I'm proud to be me. Okay, yeah, guys, can we wrap this up? Because we've been on once again. This was supposed to be a small topic, and it boiled down into like another 35-minute discussion.
See, that's what you get for being from Canada, dude. Seriously, like, this was a big topic. You should have known.
It is.
It's a big topic. You just
no worries on this end, but yeah, let's carry on.
Go for it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like, but this is. I mean, I don't want to get too blunt here, but this is the. I mean, what we're basically talking about here is the left in North America attempting to redefine language again to try to diffuse what they're facing. It's basically another attempt by the left to try to control the narrative and to control the language, which is unique.
The so-called Orwellian newspeak.
Yeah, they're trying to newspeak. But let's get on with the next one, because this one, again, guys, going to be please not devolve into another 40-minute long discussion about this one.
And you're going to hear it. It's going to happen. It's going to 14th Amendment, dude.
Oh my God. Okay.
I'm sorry, I missed out on that. My internet cut out. But listen, one quick point too, like that I'd like to bring up for today's talk. Maybe you've got a booked for or pencil in for next week. Trump and the 51st state. I was going to ask you about Daniel Smith in Alberta in particular, but yeah, that's a big deal right now.
Well, yeah, that is topic 6 tonight, actually.
Oh, great, cool. I've got a song ready for you, Naroki. I don't know what you want to do with it exactly, but I'm gonna be playing it here for you to listen to if you want. So yeah.
Okay, we'll do it after we finish topic 4. Then you can play it before we move on to the blue sky topic. Okay, so once again, the certain Democrats in the U.S. and of course, because it wasn't, again, right, going back to June 6, 2021. You know, like the math around the timing of Trump's speech to when the barriers were broken down does not add up.
January 6th. I think you
January
misspoke
6th.
there. Okay.
J6. Yeah, I said J6, I believe. Yeah. You know, doesn't add up. The way that the political charges doesn't add up. The whole timing and the very suspicious activity. Oh, and by the way that the pipe bomb just kind of disappeared.
Oh, yeah. Oh. And the provocateurs. And who was that FBI guy, that Ray Epps?
Ray Epps. Yeah, that's never been brought in for questioning. Yeah. So there's a whole bunch of stuff about this, but they're still trying to claim that Trump tried to overthrow the government, even though that's clearly not what was happening. Now, not Kelso. Henrik and Scooby were at the event, but they were on the other side of the building when it was going on, away from where the riots were. You know, it was like they were so desperate to get Trump for something that they tried to impeach him even though he wasn't president. And they just kept saying, and this is where the media really took a lot of hits. It just kept saying over and over and over and over and over again that this happened, even though there was like more than enough evidence to suggest that that what they're claiming didn't happen. And it's like, again, right, when I was talking about that discussion about the woke right and how people will they attempt to control. This is another attempt in this case by the Democrats to try to control the narrative. Now, the thing is that they had an impeachment attempt over this, and Trump was found not guilty. Like, they didn't have enough votes to impeach. Oh, by the way, he wasn't even the president at that point. So, I mean, it wouldn't have worked. And they tried multiple lawsuits and whatever, and it slumped. Now, what happened last year during the election is Trump won the popular vote. He won the Electoral College. He won the Senate. He won the House. He won everything. And the Democrats are now attempting to pull the exact same thing that they tried to accuse the Republicans of pulling back on January the 6th. And of course, it's not working, but they're getting, well, again, right, we talked about this on 419 about a probable attempted assassination of Trump at some point this year. Like, this is just another really weak attempt, but I mean, again, right, much like when you try to discuss wokeism with people online, you know, like you have people that will like double down and triple down. Yes, I've seen the 51st state thing. You can play it at the end of, or you can play it at the start of topic 6, one or the other. The use of this amendment, I mean, again, Trump would have to have been found guilty back in 2021. However, that you can't let facts get in the way of this. And it has been pointed out rather bluntly that, you know, they effectively what the Democrats are doing is basically the same thing that they accused Republicans of doing back in 2021. Of course, it's not going to work. They're not going to get the votes they're not even going to get enough votes in the House to make it work anyway. And they're definitely not going to get enough votes in the Senate. So, but I mean, this is the reason why the media has just lost such legitimacy, because the only reason, just like the astroturf campaign about Trump annexing Canada, right? I mean, they just keep, which is what the Canadian media up here has been doing. They just keep trumpeting this stuff off like it's an actual fact and hope that people don't look. And again, not going to work, but not overly surprised. Again, I know enough about what happened on that day to know that it was definitely not any type of an insurrection. At least at the, like, I mean, let's say Henrik was there with Scooby, and there was nothing going on the other side of the building. Now, some people got a little bit rambunctious and broke through some windows, which they probably shouldn't have done. But then again, right, and this is the thing that really convinced me that there's something behind this, was the fact that the doors to the building are magnetically locked. So in order for them to have gotten through those doors, somebody on the inside would have had to demagnetize the doors for them to get in. Now they did go in through the windows. I saw videos of the windows being smashed again by another guy who tried to claim that the Q shaman was guilty of stuff, and it's sort of like, well, I mean, if he was guilty of something, then why was he being like literally escorted around the building by security, right? Yeah. Right, and of course that just went right over the guy's head, right? The whole thing again, right? Another astroturf, and they seem to be doing a lot of that lately. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mark, and then Jaffe, and then Roger. So, Mark, you're up.
This entire thing. I thought the inauguration of Trump was on Sunday. I thought it was the 12th, but you earlier said it was the 21st.
It's the 20th. So, it's the 20th. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I doubt if any of this is going to get any traction, really. I think this is sort of grasping at straws, any sort of potential impeachment. No, in reality, I think it is just the sort of last clawings of a dying animal, so to speak. Yeah, I can see anything major happening between now and the 20th, really, to be fair, personally.
Somebody got a cat going.
Yeah.
So is that all you got to say?
Yeah, really. I am very skeptical to see.
He doesn't know nothing about the Constitution. Is what it is. Like he's a Brit. They don't know nothing.
I did actually bring up the 14th Amendment just now. To remind us what actually.
Yeah, he's a Brit. They don't value freedom.
Anything's possible. Anything's possible, but I doubt it.
Yeah.
Personally.
Was it my turn next? Did Naruki say or Rogers?
It's your turn. You're Canadian. Get her done, dude.
Yeah, I don't really have too much to say other than the whole thing it just stinks to the high heavens, and the media legitimacy, credibility issue, as Naruki pointed out, is clearly, they're openly admitting now on air that nobody's watching, or at least the ratings have completely tanked, and it's for good reason, because they've lost the support of the public. That people don't buy into the crap that they're peddling anymore, and for good reason. So, but J6 in particular, the whole thing just stinks to the high heavens. Pelosi's role in all of it, and I think it was the DC mayor. Trump actually called Pelosi from what I understand, or at least calls were made, and he proposed having, I think, the National Guard in place on that day and more security, have it beefed up, and it was totally denied, got shot down, just ignored, and there was such minimal security that it was designed to fail and to unfold in the way that it did. As I mentioned earlier, just good old FDR, think or say of him what you will. I mean, he knew politics, presumably having served 3-4 presidential terms. So if something does happen, and that's like a political issue or event of some kind, his claim was that it's never by accident. It is meant to be that way. So and the bright side of things is that amazingly Trump has prevailed through all the lawfare, and even to the point of them trying to murder him, obviously, and that the J6 people will almost certainly be pardoned by him, I guess, is what it's looking like. So that's really that's great, obviously, and they really did, the media, Mockingbird media, in support, conjunction with as it were the DNC and America's left, for lack of a better term. They were more than happy to see things unfold the way that they did, and just really blow things out of proportion. As I guess, was it Naroki talking about the shaman as an example, being led around, just causing no real damage of any sort, or excessive chaos or any problems. So, and the likes of Ray Epps and many others, these FBI assets, plants, agents provocateurs, they're on the ground, like time and again. It's like there was no surprise to that whatsoever. The astroturfing issue that clearly ties in to what unfolded on J6, and the Antifa, what is it, BLM Antifa activists that were. Did you guys see the videos of them changing clothes? Their get up and garb, the costumes, essentially, because they're actors, right? I mean, Shakespeare said life is a stage, but these people are really playing it up in a big way. So, doing what they could to work as these so-called, agents provocateurs, and making shit happen in the worst possible way, so that they could in turn then produce the desired outcome and results. Right?
Yep.
That's it. Over to Roger, I guess.
All right. Now with this amendment, the one thing I wanted to go over was what's the theory behind this amendment, okay? And the 14th. Well, first of all, let me tell you something on my personal beliefs. I don't believe that we should have had any amendments after the Bill of Rights. Everything after the first 10 amendments is a load of shit, and they should have never been added. And the Bill of Rights is something that I believe that the United States needed, but everything after that was just a load of crap.
They're not going to pull that on Trump. I bet you anything. I might be wrong, but I bet they're not going to pull it on Trump. There was talk of it.
They can't,
well,
because
they can try, I guess. But
now with this 14th Amendment, let me kind of go through this and explain to you a little bit about how this came to be, what they're trying to pull. Okay. Now, the 14th Amendment, it was ratified after the Civil War, and Section 3 was added to that amendment, okay, and that was to bar secessionists, the people who fought, who were political who were political in the South. They were the president of the Confederacy, Jefferson Davis and Alexander Stephens. Now, they put this into that amendment to prevent these guys from taking any kind of government office after the South had rejoined the Union or had joined up with the Union. Now, that's what that was intended for, and it had never been invoked since. And what happened was it reemerged whenever Donald Trump started running for president again. And you keep hearing these Democrats and these liberals and these woke people always talking about how Trump was impeached, but that's not what happened. Okay, he was never impeached, and he was never charged with the incitement of insurrection like they claim he was. Okay, now what happens in that process is the House of Representatives have to vote on it, and yes, they did vote on it, but afterwards it has to go to the Senate, and the Senate has to vote on it for the to convict him of that, to where they could eventually, if that would have went through, then they could have said, yes, you can't run for any kind of government office now that you've been properly impeached. But since that didn't happen in the Senate, he was never impeached as the president of the United States. But you'll keep hearing the news say this stuff, and you'll hear all of these liberals and these woke people talk about that, and it never happened. It did pass through the House of Representatives, but after that, it had to go to the Senate. And that's the thing that gets me about it. Now these states are trying to say, well, he wasn't. It was never passed through the Senate. So now they're trying to do that. And now I guess it goes from there to the oh my goodness, now the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court has to make a decision. Well, first of all, it never passed through the Senate, so it shouldn't have to be a decision of the Supreme Court. So it's like you said, there should be, it's not going to happen. Even the law is against it. It's just a ploy, a last minute attempt, in my opinion, But I wanted to point that out, that's where this amendment came from, and that's the reason why I don't agree with it whatsoever. Like, the Emancipation Proclamation, everybody thinks is a really good amendment that was made that freed the slaves, and it all sounds good, but it also made it illegal for any state to secede from the Union. If any state in the United States tries to secede from the Union, it's an automatic act of war. And a lot of people don't understand that, and that comes from the same amendment that frees the slaves. So, these are the kind of amendments that was added after the Bill of Rights that I disagree with. The same amendments that freaking people are bitching about that has to do with abortion is the same amendments that protects corporations so that they have the same rights as what freaking a human being has. You know what I mean? So you can't have both. You got to. But we've got these laws now because of those freaking extra amendments that allow them to get away with that shit. So that's all.
It's interesting you point that out, and you disagree with it. My question then, of course, is what are you going to do about it?
They got to go.
We can talk all we want, but ultimately, it's like without any real action, nothing's going to change, right?
Well, we finally.
So I guess, but drawing awareness to the fact, making your argument, stating your case, and then allowing a wider audience to hear, and maybe it help to inspire them to light a fire under their ass, so that they see, the chains of their oppression. If that's created, then that's how we can produce further positive, genuinely progressive synergy. Not this faux progressive nonsense, which is really regressive as far as I'm concerned.
every politician in the United States, if you talk to them long enough, they'll tell you that our problems in politics here in the United States is all systemic. Okay, and when
Sure.
you hear the word systemic, what they're saying is it's actually built into the system. Okay, that means that the whole system has to freaking come down and be looked at in
major
change.
reform. Yeah, a lot of people are out there in support of reform. The question is, well, where do we take it? What direction? How do we do it?
Small government.
And also how much reform are you going to have? Yeah, without causing major disruption.
Maybe that's what we need.
Well, you look at the state of things right now, and Canada as well. Total, I guess, I'm not sure. Naroki probably, he's got a clear sense of what the deal is there. But I potentially could be returning this summer. My mom recently passed away. Actually, my father is getting up in years and sick, old, dying, and so the wife and I are planning to take maybe a little summer visit and attend a memorial for our mother, and just to check in with the dad. Hopefully he'll still be around, but I'm not really wanting to spend much time in the cities, like Vancouver in particular. Just even the airport itself is enough of a drag. So and trust me, look, you guys, if you hear about or if you don't hear from Jaffe for a while and he just disappears, like ends up being black hole, who knows what every time I go through an airport, it seems internationally, that's one reason I haven't traveled since 2007. There's numerous other reasons, but because I could really care less, although this is kind of like closure to the whole being able to meet in person with people, parents, friends, and whatnot. That there's a good chance it could be the last time in a number of cases. So, but yeah, Vancouver and the cities, like I get hassled at these every time I cross borders. It's like it seems there's a file on me. And everyone's flagged in a particular way, apparently. It's all color coding. So you got like green, yellow, red. There's a color spectrum. And I think they've got, who knows what it is. Probably because I too freely share views and opinions, now these days in particular, a little more high profile via the interwebs. So there you go.
I mean, every time I fly, like I automatically have to go through the scanner, like every single time. Like I see
they put you in the special
randomly
the red line.
They put me. I always end up in the red line. Always. Like I'm not questioned. I'm not taken into the back and questioned. But I always have to go through the scanner. Like
I have to spread my cheeks, bro. Dude, I came back from Europe and it's like, oh, it checked me in Winnipeg, I think it was. It's like, oh, you were in Amsterdam, were you? All right, okay, we go and get back room and spread the cheeks. It's like, you idiots. And I wonder how faggy those guys are that have to stand there and do that all day. They must be in signing up for that job.
I mean, they're getting off on the power is what they're doing. It's like it's not necessarily about being a fag.
It's humiliation, isn't it? Total humiliation.
Well, I mean, it's like, I keep in mind, like, Lawrence Southern, a person who I really don't particularly like that much, but one of her best friends is Brittany. Well, he's now Brittany Sellner. It's just Brittany Pettibone, and she married a nationalist in Austria by the name of Martin Sellner. And every single time that Lauren has to fly internationally anywhere, right, she lands. And there's automatically 2 or 3 hours where she's taken in the back and where she's like literally grilled about one of her best friends.
Do you know what? Apparently, all I'm prepared to say to these people before getting a lawyer, asking for that a lawyer be present, is I'd rather not discuss with you my day. There's lawyers' advice online, and they talk.
Well, I mean, I know.
I'm sorry, but I'd rather not discuss with you my my day. That's all you say.
That's the reason why when I decided to fly, if I have to do a connecting flight, like I always make sure that I have enough time between each connecting flight. That
I almost missed mine because I was detained. I guess that's and that's the thing you asked them after that first question, or just stating that you'd rather not discuss your day. Is secondly it's like, well, am I being detained or am I free to go? That's it. And by that they know that the way the game is played, and that you don't, up your rights.
Yeah, Lauren Southern, every time she flew, she actually had to basically send a message to Brittany. Well, now it's Brittany Sellner, or Brittany Pettibone, saying sorry, I have to stop talking to you for a while because every time I fly internationally, right? I get pulled.
So they were grilling her about her friend Brittany.
Yeah.
So and that's the thing is Southern had her Patreon taken away as well, apparently, because she.
Oh, that was years ago, man. That was years ago.
Yeah, but it's like, well, that's some major street cred there. It made me want to support her more, but also kind of a red flag, and red for a reason, folks. It's red. It's a special red color. Be on guard. Really. That for Patreon as the way that they operate, and the ridiculous nature to how they're how they function, unfortunately.
All right, I'm gonna
But hang on, there's one last thing I was going to ask you. Simply, is Lauren Southern, is she National Socialist? Or
she is whatever way the wind happens to be blowing.
Yeah,
it's in her best interest.
And Tim Pool, he's another guy. Fucking, excuse my French, but it seems like, and he never takes a really. He's really, people do kind of criticize him a lot for being so kind of.
Well, I mean, he does. I mean, yeah, he is a little bit more consistent than Lauren. Like Lauren will
think so.
Yeah, he is a little bit more consistent than Lauren is. Lauren will go with whatever happens, whichever way the wind happens to be blowing. I mean, I don't think, and Lauren has done equal parts. Beck, for instance, she did testimony in Ottawa here recently where she absolutely owned the NDP and the Liberals who were trying to connect her because the Canadians have their own version of Russian collusion going on. In fact, I just on Twitter today, I saw somebody saying, "Oh, Poilievre's a Russian asset," and I'm like, all I had to post was, you're like a special kind of fucking stupid, aren't you?
I think what I've seen of him and heard of him recently, he's runs the risk of being an Israel firster, unfortunately.
Well, Trump is an Israel firster as well. I mean, it's like, that's no surprise. Israel's got a very strategic position in the Middle East, which is still the biggest producer of still the biggest oil importer and oil producer. So, they need a strategic spot in the Middle East, and that's it's going to be Israel. It's probably going to be Israel for a while, although that is probably going to end at some point because the leftists completely abandon Israel on the right. Like, you've got half the right saying, well, why are we even there in the first place? So, yeah.
Do you know about the offshore, the gas and oil deposits? Speaking of gas and oil, that right off the coast of Gaza. Do you know about that?
Yeah, I knew about that. That's been discussed, but Kelso brought that up.
$500 billion worth, apparently, folks. $500 billion sitting there.
One point on this subject. It's the second biggest oil producer after the
but
UAE.
it's the biggest import after the UAE. Who's the second biggest? Saudi Arabia?
Probably. Are we finished with this topic?
Yeah, we are finished with this topic, by the way. Yeah, I was hoping to end it. By the way, as far as the amendments go, I am a firm believer in the second.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell, of course not.
In fact, I think there's been some argument over the years that the First Amendment, the Second Amendment should have been the First Amendment. That's
the Bill of Rights is the first 10 amendments. That's what I mean when I say the Bill of Rights.
The Second Amendment is needed to keep the First Amendment standing.
all the first 10 bills are definitely need to stay there concrete, but after the first 10 amendments, the rest of them are just bullshit. Like they should never have been added. That's
the Fourth Amendment, the search and seizure. Well, how does that work again? The Fourth Amendment. What is it? What's regarding search and seizure?
That means that our government does not have the right to come into our house and search without proper.
But how does it read? It's like warrantless against warrantless intrusive search and seizure. I don't even know if Canada has that. They should.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Well, that's what happens. See, that's what's the difference between Canada and the United States. Because like here in the United States, we were sick and tired of those British bastards coming in and stealing our shit, dude, moving into our house and kicking us out. You see, and
how dare you, Mark?
See, those bastards.
Well, and that's posse comitatus. That's how that came into play as well, too, historically.
Well, I mean, it's like, also, man, I mean, the amendment involving corporate personhood, that one is eventually going.
What? Which one is that? Is that which one is that?
That's part of the 16th Amendment.
Oh, really? That's totally screwed. The corporations they love that, of course, but it's completely.
Well, it also works because this is something that I've made arguments with and oddly enough, this is going to be a nice twist up into Bluesky here, is because a lot of people have made the argument that the amendments don't apply to corporations. And I brought up the 16th Amendment and said, no, corporations are classified as people, and people are part of the government. Therefore, the amendments do apply to corporations. End of discussion. Mm-hmm. So the laws do apply to people because corporations are people. Corporations have the same laws individuals do. Yeah.
Corporations are part of the government? Did you just say? Or
no. Corporations are people.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the same laws that apply to people also apply to corporations. So therefore, corporations cannot go and violate somebody's right to free expression.
There's only two things they don't have. They can't vote and they can't run for office.
Corporations?
Yeah.
They can lobby. They can lobby like hell.
They can lobby, and special interest groups are included into the same category as what corporations are. So when they talk about corporations, you're also talking about these special interest groups and lobbyists.
Yeah. So corporations are subject, because corporations are classified as people. They are subject to the same laws. So a corporation cannot interfere with someone's freedom of expression.
Has that been upheld by the Supreme Court?
I don't know. I don't follow it that closely, but I have pointed this out to people that have tried to use the thing with YouTube and back when Twitter. By the way, I'm going to segue that into topic number 5. Have tried to segue that into Twitter. Well, Twitter's a corporation, and the amendments were to apply to just the government. Said no. Corporations are people. People cannot violate someone else's civil rights.
Yeah, I thought, and you also, I think, did you say that corporations are part of the government?
No, I didn't say corporations are part of the government.
I misheard you then, or either that, or you
some people have made the statements, and I believe Mark's actually made it a couple of times too, where they believe that the Constitution and your rights only apply on a government level, which isn't the truth. It applies to each individual and how we're supposed to behave with one another.
Well, and if there's any problems along the way, any conflict, then you end up having to take these matters to court, typically.
Exactly. Well, anyway, guys, can we move on to topic number 5? Because we're and now that we're on 16th.
51st state, or what exactly?
No, 51st state is topic 6.
This is Bluesky. What's Bluesky?
This is this is the stuff Mark tried to convince me that I needed to join. I said, dude, I will lose views. I will lose views if I join this freaking platform, dude.
Oh, it's a
Well,
platform.
it's a
Yeah.
platform. Oh, okay. Well, first of all, guys, I did not know this. I only found out about this like today. Jack Dorsey runs Blue Sky. And what Blue Sky has literally turned into what Twitter used to be, and Jack Dorsey is running it, which says a lot about how Jack Dorsey was running Twitter. Now, apparently, and again, I'm not on Blue Sky, nor am I on Mastodon, but I am on Threads. And like, if you go to, like, when I go to Threads and I start going through the commentary on Threads, it's like, oh my God, man. Like, the level of stupidity that I read on Threads is just, I'm literally left just gobsmacked. Fortunately, because Threads is directly tied into Instagram, they do get some blowback on Threads. But yeah, I've had some, it was Threads that kind of made me realize that a lot of what both Roger and Mark were saying about 2025, about it going to get very heated, is probably going to be true. I'm seeing a lot of now that they're in an echo chamber like that, I can see a lot of the leftist fervor. And oh, by the way, there was an individual, actually it was on your channel too. He's like, why are you using leftist to describe this? Don't all leftists are blah blah. And I had to point out to him, it's like, yeah, they're all left of center. Okay, like, I'm not going to like name them all individually. Like, I'm not gonna say Blue Sky's turned into an SJW cesspool. Like, leftist is a generalized term that applies to all of these various groups. But yeah, what you're seeing on Blue Sky, controlled by Jack Dorsey, is this echo chamber that has been, I hate to say it, but I have seen this on Threads. Like, I'm seeing people on Threads, like, if this stuff had been said on Facebook, or if it had been said on Twitter by somebody on the right, like, that person would have been banned almost immediately. But when you go over to Threads or to Blue Sky, apparently, I don't know, because I'm not on Blue Sky or Mastodon, you see like vitriolic rhetoric coming from the left. Talk about physically harming people, talking about violence, talking about like going after certain content producers. Joe Rogan is a popular target, as is Elon Musk, but there's a few. Jordan Peterson also gets a lot of hate there on Threads. Anyway, the other thing about Blue Sky, yeah, hold on, Jaffe, let me finish. Is that is that there is no, like, they're just in a complete, oh yes, not on Threads, but on Blue Sky and Mastodon. Both of those sites have, both people on sites have gone in and done some deep digging, and they've discovered that there is this pedophile ring that operates on both of those platforms. In fact, at one point it was speculated that about 40% of Mastodon was that. Now, is it a leftist cesspool? I don't know. I'm not there. But it's very, very clear that what has happened since Trump won the election is that you've had these people fleeing Twitter and going onto places like Threads and Blue Sky and Mastodon, and these are in these echo chambers, and nobody's keeping them in check. And of course, Blue Sky, because it's run by Jack Dorsey, is making no attempt to curb the, and I'm going to just say it, like, the potentially dangerously extreme left-wing rhetoric that is coming out of those places. Like, yeah, when you go over to Threads and you start looking at some of the content, like, I'm like, wow. Like, I mean, I've had to point out to a few people. It's like, no, you're not entitled to someone else's money. And if you try to start taking rich people's money by force, they're all just going to leave, and the economy and the country will be in even worse shape than it already is now. No, you cannot just divide up the United States between Canada and Mexico, because if you did that, China, Russia, and a few other hostile foreign powers would immediately swoop in and make things worse. This is the type of mentality that you're seeing on these platforms. There's nobody there to keep them in check. In fact, it's probably so bad because we're going to cover Mark Zuckerberg next week. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg.
Speaking of people who go full, whichever way the wind blows.
Oh wait, you just hold on. I'm pretty much done here. The whole thing is just insane.
The bromance with Dana White, the budding bromance with Dana White. Yeah.
What the hell's going on here? Suddenly, Jurassic Park started playing. But yeah, that is literally what's happening over on these, like, again, right? And this is where you're probably going to see a lot more political violence over the next year or so, is because these sites have, like they're just flaming this. It's just basically a big, huge circle jerk and an echo chamber. Now, Jaffe has something to say, so Jaffe, go ahead.
Got a few things that just briefly, like you in part to respond to. A couple of quick points. Free speech and open source, this Bluesky or not?
No, it's a proprietary platform.
I'm sorry?
It's a proprietary platform. Code is not.
Proprietary? Well, screw that. Yeah. Then I'll have nothing to do with them. Forget it. And then free speech, you can rule that out. And as I think, I guess I'll answer the question for myself unless anyone objects. But yeah, Dorsey, and the echo chamber, however that's maybe either engineered, usually it's the algorithms, I guess, right? So that with the proprietary and things, you have no idea what the hell's going on. You're not able to take a peek under the hood and see the way things, how it all functions. So minds.com, have you been using talking to these other platforms? Naroki, you're kind of lukewarm regarding Minds. The other three.
Well, okay, I'm not. I mean, I still like Minds. The only problem is that Minds just seems to be kind of stale, right? It started out with a lot of promises.
Stagnant. Yeah, stagnant. Yeah. Well, but here's the thing: if you and part of it is because not enough people get engaged in the groups.
The groups. So the group thing is just I used to post up there quite a bit.
Right.
Now I hardly post. I don't really post up there very much at all anymore.
Right. Yeah. You were going like crazy because you got a hold of the master list and you seized upon that and really let loose. But that's something that, speaking of open source, that we encourage people to share. I think Mark's got a copy of that, probably even Roger and so forth. So just as far as emails, one last thing I can recall just off the top of my head, and I do have the 51st State song queued up here too, so we can do a screen share if that's at all possible, and I think play the tune as well. But your email address is Naroki. What is it? Can we have it from all three of you here, just so I can double check? I'm sending something out right now. Email addresses. Mark, you've got the WPRP on one, I guess, right?
Yeah. Use that one.
Okay. Roger. It's Roger something or another 69 or 71. Oh yeah, I got it. Roger Hansen 1969 at gmail.com, correct?
I was going to say maybe it's better
talking.
to discuss this after the stream because
well, just quickly,
data protection issues.
Well, okay, fine. I mean, Jesus. I mean, we do have this one thing too. Naroki, I don't think. Do you not share the main? Look, what we do is like if you're on our show, you get in the archived end of things. We share your main Minds link actually and have it out there along with anyone else that participates. But you don't do that with what you put together here, do you? You don't link up people that have contributed their social media.
I used to, and it just, I mean, it became a time issue with me.
Just keep a list. You just keep a list and then you copy and paste. That's all we do. It's really simple. But anyways, you do it. It's your show. So, Naroki, what is your email contact? Isn't it just Naroki?
No. It's golddragon4@hotmail.com. I'm not giving out my personal email address here.
Okay,
on air.
But this one is okay. Can you repeat that? Just share it in the text if you want. Then
gold_dragon4@hotmail.com. Or well, actually, here I will post. I'm not going to say it on the air here. This is my contact email.
Oh.
On my personal email.
That Gold Dragon is like a gaming kind of illusion.
Well, yeah, it was literally my first email account ever, and I was a big gamer at the time when I did it. So that's my personal one.
Okay, and then you'll have a second one in the chat that you want to keep anonymous and private. Is that right?
Well, that is the one that I want kept anonymous and private. That is my personal account.
Oh, I see the Sam one. You want to keep that private?
Yeah. So
okay.
Can we get back to Bluesky, please?
Yeah. That's all I had to ask, really, just regarding these matters: open source, free, free speech, and that's about the extent of things, I guess, really. And Minds, of course, in relation to Bluesky. How recent? When did it launch? In the last couple of weeks or month?
What?
Bluesky
platform. Bluesky.
Within last year.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
By the way, you can lower your hand now. Yeah, the cat. Thank you, Jaffe.
Right.
As far as I'm concerned, I will go back to the laissez-faire sort of idea here. Blue skies, like there were hundreds. Now the social media ecosystem has grown significantly within the last 10 years. There are social media platforms 10 a penny almost now. So yeah, I believe in laissez-faire. If people wish to use Facebook, let them. If they want to use Twitter, they've got the opportunity to. If they want to use Blue Skies, then sure. Roger was talking about me encouraging them to use Blue Skies, but as far as we so-called content creators are concerned, it's just another platform for us to promote our content on. It's the old bums on seats argument. If the more eyes on our content, generally speaking, the better.
I'm not interested in having anything to do with it.
Sorry?
What I've just heard from the other people, including yourself, I guess, just not it myself, but that's all I'll say. It's not, if it's proprietary, and it's and this pedophile thing too, that was big on Minds, right? The VERPed, the virtuous pedophile thing they're trying to sell.
I was just about to come to that.
Like, and then Minds, they were kind of like, they were shutting some people down. Even Thornton, what the hell's his first name again here? He hangs out in Skype. He's one of our buddies.
Thornton, yeah.
Yeah, he's out of Chicago. Yeah, he's Kelso's. He's one of Kelso's wingmen.
I'm not
So
going to discuss individual
Henrik,
accounts
Henrik,
on this.
Henrik got
I
banned
think
by
that would be
Minds.
unfair.
The
Yeah,
Ottmans,
I think
banned him.
One person at a time, please.
Well, you're breaking up, Mark. All I wanted to say was that the Ottmans apparently banned Henrik on Minds because he pushed back against the Verped thing. Supposedly is how the story goes.
Okay. I am not going to discuss individual accounts on there. I think that would be totally unprofessional and unfair. But
what? That went over my head. What did he say?
Discussing individual accounts. I think that's
right, yeah, because you don't know, you haven't heard, you don't know exactly. So, but the point was made earlier that on Bluesky there's a lot of this pedo kind of crap going on. Is what
okay.
I think.
I was just going to come to that. As you guys said, Blue Sky's terms of service agreement, just come to the community guidelines portion of it. In section 1B, there is a thing about distributed child sex abuse of material or any content portraying minors in the sexual explicit context, which is a violation of Blue Sky's terms of services, but also saying that they've also got on section 1A ties or promotes material from hate groups or prescribed terror groups. Prescribed terror groups, fair enough, but again, who defines what a hate group is? At the end of the day, it's okay to have all these terms of services. It's okay to have all these sort of provisions on what not to use any social media platform for. But it's another point in actually implementing or making sure that these terms of services are fully adhered to, and that's potentially Blue Sky's issue at this present moment, I would argue. They have not got enough infrastructure, may that be actual moderators, or may that be some sort of technical mechanism to actually come down heavy or to moderate the platform potentially. But as far as I'm concerned, as a general, as more of a generalized rule, everybody's allowed to use whatever private sector organization that they want. Sure, there was the issue of making sort of vacuums, making those sort of what's the word? Neil, you mentioned earlier.
Echo chambers.
Yeah, echo chambers. Yeah, thank you. But any of us could join Blue Skies, and we can always put our own points and defend those points ourselves, like any other platform.
My question would be to all this within the context of things. Has there, to this point, it's been around for a year or so, any issues with people getting banned or censorship rearing its ugly head, in a controversial way, where it's left people scratching their heads and kind of up in arms?
I have not heard anything as far as Blue Skies. In fact, Blue Sky has only been on my radar for the last couple of months anyway.
So it's been running quite smoothly to this point as far as that goes. But here's the thing. Once these platforms get big enough, that's when it's like they got the fuck you money, right? It's the same sort of attitude and approach where it's like, oh, look, we're just so big and wonderful now. Now we can, they say, you want to see someone's true character, just give them a little bit of power.
But on the opposite end of that argument is, again, the social media ecosystem has gone to such a point that if you get banned on one, then you can go to another platform.
Both of our accounts on X have been suspended, people, just to let you know, and we're at a loss. We are really kind of perplexed why that was the case. There's no reason given whatsoever.
By the way, guys, if you want to talk about, I got one of my suspended accounts back.
How'd you do it?
I just applied.
You just okay. Give me. Do you have an email that we can reach out?
Not right at. This was a few months ago. I can't remember the specific details.
If you can help us out, I'm going to send you guys an email right now, so maybe you can get back.
Okay. Well, one of the things I can suggest to do is, first of all, you have to go to your old channel.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the first thing you got to do.
We'll send them the links. We'll send them both the links and see where it goes from there. We've already reached out to them, and I think we've yet to hear back. So we'll try again. And if that doesn't work, then I don't know what to do. Look, man, we've lost both of our Discord accounts. Our Twitch was taken down. And it's just like this and that and the next thing, and I've got very little interest in spending much time.
Well, I mean, again, right? It's like what's happening with the online, with social media is that, I mean, and again, we'll be covering this when we get to Zuckerberg on Sunday. The social media is turning into. I mean, is turning into, like, there's stuff on the right and there's stuff on the left, and there's not really all that much in the middle. But anyway, does anybody else have anything more to say about Bluesky? Because once again, we got sidelined into another discussion again.
There is one thing I do want. There's a couple things, actually. You got to remember that this guy was responsible for all the crap that happened on Twitter.
Jack Dorsey? Yeah.
And also, when it comes to cryptocurrency, you also have to remember that this asshole could have possibly been Satoshi Nakamoto. And if you check up on the history of Bitcoin, you'll find out that there was some pretty nefarious shit that took place so that Bitcoin could come into being.
The NSA is illegal. Launched the kernel.
Yep.
The NSA
illegal drug dealers and underworld elements had a part to do with it as well. So,
well, I mean, the one thing I do specifically remember about Jack Dorsey is that every time Jack Dorsey got humiliated, within 48 to 72 hours after it happened, there would be an action taken by Twitter that was almost like a fuck you, because Ted Cruz basically put Jack Dorsey over his lap and gave him a spanking twice. And both times within 48 to 72 hours of that happening, Jack Dorsey made a move with Twitter. It was effectively almost like a fuck you move to Ted Cruz, right? And he did it because he could, right? And the fact that Bluesky is the way that it is kind of negates his claim that Twitter did not have a bias, just from the way he's running Bluesky.
And my final word is Noster. Noster is worthless. Freaking, he endorsed that shit and supported it, and it is just garbage. That's another thing to take a look at as well. I don't know if you guys ever played around with that, but it's just a word.
I heard of it, but I never looked at it.
Is it a social media platform or a type of crypto digital currency?
It's a supposed platform, but it's not worth a damn thing. It's a part of that whole Fediverse shit. Mark knows more about it. Yeah, Fediverse.
Yeah.
And Mark knows more
like
about
Gen
it than I do.
Gen Z getting into that crap? Because I'm totally. I don't even have one of those. I refuse to own a spy phone. The wife has one, but I refuse to own one. I just try to keep my life as simple as possible.
Well, I mean, for me personally, I mean, iPhones and iPads really, especially since I work remotely. I mean, they're spy. Yeah, they got spyware on them, and yeah, I do see clearly ads that are clearly aimed towards me, right? I get frequent job I employ. Like, I mean, when I started talking about moving, Back last year, like I started getting ads about places that were up for rent in Edmonton, and specifically since I was talking so much about the Bow Valley, around Canmore and Cochrane and that sort of area. Now that I've been talking about starting up a live stream and deciding that I'm going to make a living, try to get to the point where basically I'm only doing this for a living. All of a sudden, my platform, my social media is plastered with ads about how to improve my YouTube content and how to get more views, etc., etc., etc. Right? So it's like, and also how to make more money whilst working remotely. So yeah, like there's definitely a spy aspect to it, but I mean, because I work remotely, the iPhone and the iPad, it's sort of like almost like a necessary evil. But anyway, let's move on to the next topic here, because again, I do not want to be here till 1 o'clock in the morning.
I do have to ask you one question though, Rocky.
Okay.
What's a sex femme?
A sex
femme.
What?
FEM.
Bot?
A sex femme? I have no idea.
Okay.
I've heard of them. I have not looked. Unless you're talking about robots, I have no idea.
Well, you said that, what's her name? Brittany Venti had big boobs, and when I did a Google search, it called her a sex femme.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not a term I've heard from Brittany Venti, but yeah, I'll like admit, because I've listened to her content, and let's just say that she on head, she isn't. Eva Vlaringsbrook, she's not actually. I don't even think she would be in the same category as. Why do I keep blanking out on the names? That really hot blonde that did that video about all men being trash. The conservative chick. She used to be on Fox.
Oh, Amy something.
Megan Kelly?
Not Megan Kelly. No, it wasn't Megan Kelly.
Was it a comedy bit?
No, it was a personal video. I cannot remember.
Not satire, nothing like that.
No, it wasn't satire.
But she was really like, she just totally dumping on all men, total vitriol and hatred.
Yeah, I can't remember her name.
And she got away with that without.
Well, no, she got called. She got called out on it rather badly, and she had to go back on and clarify. But I cannot remember her goddamn name to save my life.
Well, you can easily hand the talking stick over to someone else. Hold
on a second. I'm looking. Tommy Lahren. That's her name. Tommy.
Oh yeah. What the hell?
Well, dude, I mean, seriously.
Isn't she married?
Seriously.
She is. Well, that was before she got married. That was before she got married.
Before she got married, she was dumping on all men.
Yeah, she got called out on it massively.
But seriously, isn't it kind of cool that a conservative freaking blonde is saying men are trash? Just we're all dirty. We're dirty boys.
He's probably just trying to generate more hits.
Well, okay, all right. When I get, because I'm going to bring this up about Brittany Venti, who we're not on yet.
Okay.
But when Tommy Lahren did this, she's literally almost the same age that Brittany Venti is now.
Yeah, I could probably only stick around for, I don't know, a short while longer. After we finish point number 6, that'll about do it for me, probably.
Okay, all right. So, yeah, let's get into topic number 6, because, yeah, again, I don't want to be here till 1 o'clock in the goddamn morning.
Yeah, I'm gonna try the screen share if that's okay. And then did you say you wanted to hear the song from the get-go?
Yeah, okay, let's hear the song, and then we'll get into the topic.
Now, can you see the screen here?
I can see the screen, yep.
Let's see now if you can, if you'll be able to hear it or not. So, it'll kick in just a second or two. The sound coming through?
Yep, I'm hearing it just fine. But now the video feed is gone.
Thinking about back on the days when I was young, walking with my daddy straight into the sun. The feelings I had riding so high there, way up on his shoulders. Life used to be more simple in the land of the free. Now the later it gets, the further I see that even this crazy old world's getting a little bit older. In the city and the things I've seen, not in a million years would you ever believe. Sidewalks are crying for mercy, lonely people in need. There's tall skyscrapers going up each day, blueprints made in the USA, and they're bringing them down in a flash. Foundations agree. Been rambling through the countryside, sometimes straight, other days high, feeling like maybe I was born 20 years too late. Taking in all kinds of sights and sounds, every step of the way, covering sacred ground. All along the watchtower, bells are ringing hours late. Checking out my nation, for it's the 51st state. Well, checking out my nation, for it's the 51st state. Still the fisherman's dream. Rainbow run through sparkling streams. The click of Nassau Creek finally managed to take its toll. The winds are changed, the sands of time. On the blaze of rain, it ain't over but the climb. Till it's that old forgotten campfire store struck. In from out the cold, riding this kickback here all easy like. Not even the memory to show. We would wander around through the countryside, shore to shore, river deep, mountain high. It's long been the manifest destiny, the 5440 fate. Taking in all kinds of sights and sounds, canaries in a coal mine covering sacred ground, singing a working folk blues, numbers 2 and 68. Hey, 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 checking out my nation, oh, it's the 51st state. It is checking out my nation, oh, it's the 51st state. Trucks of midnight keep rolling on, divide and conquer while you stand on guard. Asphalt overdose, killer highway screws. No, we voted them in to stand and deliver, not to freely sell a nation down a greedy global river. Golden straight jacket imprisonment and his Mexico blues. Shades of Aslan, running for the 40 swindler. of freedom shores. Paperless illegals, political schools, no criminal taxes, rose-colored glass rainbow show. Surely as we die, there will soon be a dime. Maybe stop a clock, not the sands of time. Knows only God one chance. Sit back, watch it all go. Around into the countryside, not yet dead in our grave, spirits wondering why. The scene never really changed that much. The angels round heaven's gate, taking in all kinds of sights and sounds, trooping all a trek across sacred native ground. Rocky Road investigation, mega project, $500 matrix blade. Checking out my nation, for it's the 51st state. Well, checking out my nation, for it's the 51st state. Check it out. City and the things I've seen, not in a million years would you ever believe. Sidewalks crying for mercy, for people in need. Tall skyscrapers going up each day, blueprints made in the USA, bringing them down in a flash. Foundations agree. Seeking honest information, not just empty legislation. Cross-border service nation, ugly element situation, dangerous litigation with column infiltration, fulfill condemnation, little make-believe, heathen salvation, Renaissance celebration. Check it out, 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 my nation. Yeah, check it out, 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 my nation.
Okay, that went on way too long. Like, way too long. Okay, so
it's a ballad, dude. I guess you're not a music guy. You don't really get it, but it's a protest song as well, kind of deal among.
Yeah, it went on late. So, by the way, I'm getting echo from somebody. Somebody
Check
needs
one.
to mute themselves.
1 2. Check 1 1 2. Mark.
Mark's muted. Okay, so yeah, okay, now that he's muted, it's not happening. So it was coming from the Brit again. Okay, so
the redcoats.
So yeah, this started out as a joke, and it just has kind of snowballed.
Governor Castro.
In part because Justin Trudeau has been attempting to make it snowball. And of course, because the mainstream media in Canada has been bought and paid for, they have been pushing this to the point where people are starting to believe it. Oh, and of course, you try to explain to certain individuals that the U.S. would not. Could the U.S. take Canada by military force? Yeah. Well, first of all, I've talked to people in the Canadian Armed Forces. And I know they know exactly what would happen if the U.S. would try that. The U.S. would probably, because it's such a big geographical area, the U.S. would require a significant number of their own troops to hold it, and they wouldn't be able, because they would need so much of their own forces just to hold Canada militarily. They wouldn't be able to do anything else anywhere. By the way, China would also run into the same problem, mostly because Canada's geographic size.
It's all
and because of the timeline. So it's like, this does not work.
That's the last resort, bro. It's economics is the first where you're going to find it. And Trump has himself stated it. China has been actively undermining Canadian interests, the integrity.
Well, it's like, Trump.
Foreign takeovers and buyouts run amok. It's really these foreign interests that's the problem.
Yeah, Trump has got to pay a little bit more attention to Canada because China has been sneaking stuff in.
America has got to take care of its own backyard first. Like, because you're probably aware, aren't you, Hiroki, how with China's they've basically strategically invested in and bought up land, this choice real estate all around various high
U.S. military bases. Yes, I actually have covered that a couple of times.
Probably the same in Canada. They've done the same with Canada.
And Trudeau has been complicit. Yeah,
just like Biden was. Do you know? Remember 1970? Was it early 70s? The big high-profile visit to China with the opening of in the West and the Chinese working together, and that was a big deal back in the day. The first head of state, it was Kissinger, was one of the first people involved in that whole business, as was George Bush Sr., believe it or not. But who was the first head of state to actually meet with Chairman Mao and get
that? Would be Richard Nixon. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But
it was not Nixon. It was Pierre Elliott Trudeau.
Okay, yeah, all right, yeah. So it's the first one. Okay, yeah, all right. But again, right? It's Trudeau Jr. Justin is among other things a globalist effing stooge, and he's been allowing it. I don't know. I'm actually going to have to go to Prince Rupert one of these times. I'm actually going to have to investigate whether they tried to move Chinese troops through Prince Rupert into the interior for training. Because that would have been I don't know.
When was this reported?
This was several years ago, 2019, I think, 2018, 2019.
Salt Spring Island, there was activity down there that was covered. I didn't follow up in great detail, but it did make the news in some quarters.
Anyway,
an event. But let me just finish by saying, you mentioned Prince Rupert. It is strategic. And do you know why Prince Rupert is, among other things, Prince Rupert is strategic? And
I used to live there. I know exactly why it's strategic, because it's the only other major harbor on the West Coast besides Vancouver.
Well, that's right. They call it deep sea port. Is that right? Something like that?
Yeah, it's the only other major deep sea port on the West Coast besides Vancouver. I know, because I lived there at one point. Prince Rupert is probably the only place up in northern BC where the people are even remotely friendly, because they're used to they're used to people from out of town stopping there, so they're used to having people from being out of town, and most of the rest of northern BC, including Prince George, as you well know, are not exactly noted for being all that friendly.
Prince George, you said, is not very friendly?
Yeah, the town I grew up in, remember?
Right. Yeah, you're saying that you don't think it's very friendly.
Oh, well, it wasn't when I was a kid. It got a little bit better once they got the university in there. But it was a really insular. It was to quote a couple members of my family, it was a big, huge, oversized lumber camp when I was a kid growing up there.
Awash in endless number of drugs, among other things.
Yeah.
And so people with borderline, if not, really quite textbook, psychological issues. Yeah, you're right. I agree. It's not the friendliest place in the world. Exactly.
No. Okay. So getting back to the point, Trump by proxy has got, if he wants to secure his borders, he has to pay more attention to Canada, whether he wants to or not. Now, when Trudeau, obviously he does, and he also is not a fan of Justin Trudeau. Very clearly not a fan of Justin Trudeau, and has been taking every opportunity to mock him at every opportunity. I mean, that initial tweet, that initial post that he put up at Truth Social was designed to be a shot it was basically aimed at Trudeau, and Trudeau is not stupid, and he turned this into something else. And then basically what's been going on is that the mainstream media in Canada has just been continuously rolling with it. And of course, anybody, the magic screen in your living room doesn't lie crowd is getting on board with this. And I've had to explain to people, right, multiple times, as a matter of fact, that the U.S. does not have the military force right now they're going to be going through a major shakeup in the armed forces because they got to get rid of a lot of the woke people in the military and revamp it. So they're not going to be in any condition to invade anybody over the next year or so. And they already are short on their recruitment goals before they even start. And try to explain this to people, and they will go, yeah, but this, yeah, but that, yeah, but something else, yeah, but the U.S. is not in a position to be invading anybody. Period. End of fucking story. And you explain, I mean, again, this is sort of like with the Luigi Mangione incel thing. You literally explain it to them. You break it down to them, like point for point for point. And you do it, I've done it in a 2 + 2 = 4 format. And I fucking get Canadians that will still fucking argue the point with me to fucking death. Right? And it's like, and again, right, any of the scenarios, I mean, at some point, Canada, the U.S., and Mexico are organically going to come together. What I didn't like, and what I especially didn't like about Biden and Trudeau, is the way they were trying to kind of covertly force the two countries together. And keep in mind, Canada and the U.S. are exceedingly culturally similar in a lot of ways. Like there are some differences, of course, but they are really familiar. They're really similar, right? Like what will sell in Florida will also sell well in British Columbia. And those are two places that are like literally and geographically like the other side of the continent away from each other. So there's a lot of geographic similarity, and yeah, it will probably happen at some point. What this is basically Trudeau is basically trying to do anything to distract away from what's happening to him right now. Because again, 421, we'll be talking about the fact that he resigned. And he's also trying to do, and he's probably also doing what his WEF globalist puppet masters want him to do, which is to undermine Trump at any and all possible chances. And one of the best ways to do that is to try to fearmonger Canadians into thinking that that Trump is going to use military force or some type of force to get Canada to basically merge with the U.S., which isn't going to happen because the U.S. does not have the military forces at this current time to take and occupy Canada as would be necessary. And I mean, as of right now, for instance, if China made a move on Taiwan, they might be, because it's an island, the U.S. might be able to funnel enough forces into Taiwan to stop the Chinese there. but to occupy Taiwan as an island, Canada is a country larger than continental Europe. You know, big difference in terms of occupation and geography. And, you know, again, because I mean, I've been going on Twitter quite a bit lately, and I mean, not so much CBC and CTV in particular have just been simping the fuck out for Trudeau, and because they've been simping the fuck out for Trudeau, they've been running the anti-Trump rhetoric big time. Again, two reasons why Trudeau is following the. Trudeau needs to undermine Trump, and Trudeau needs to distract away from what's happening to him. And one of those ways to do it is to hype this up. You know, it's not going to happen. The U.S. doesn't have the military it has the military capability to take Canada. It doesn't necessarily have the military capability to hold Canada geographically.
Canada's also a member of NATO, for crying out loud.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course, yeah. There's also the whole NATO thing as well, right? But again, right?
He's just trolling. He's trolling, and he knows the power of the economic power is fully at his command and disposal, and that we're going to probably see him play that card. You know.
And of course, Trump has to. If he's going to secure the U.S. border, he has to pay more attention to what's going on with Canada, especially since Trudeau has caused an immigration problem in Canada that's worse than the one that the U.S. has. Yeah.
With Paul Revere in power, I can almost guarantee you that the two of them will work together to.
Oh yeah, they absolutely will work together to tighten things up. The only problem is that Justin Trudeau doesn't bring the House back until the end of April. And it's probably going to be could be as late as mid-July before the election actually gets called.
It was March. Are you sure?
No, it's the end. It's mid to late April.
Yeah, there's also some talk that what he's done is this. What do they call it? Proroguing Parliament. It's illegal what he's done. Actually, it's a lot more problematic.
He can't do it without the assent of the Governor General. The Governor General has given her assent.
Has given whose?
The Governor General has given her assent.
Yeah, and just for wider audience members, listeners out there who might not know who the Governor General is, the role they play, and they serve as the Queen's, well, now the King's representative, representative of the Crown. So really, Canada is not a free nation, even at this stage of the game. It still is very much under the thumb. It's under the monarchy.
Well, I mean, it's like
I mean, when did you guys get your Constitution?
It was repatriated in 1982, kind of.
You know what I mean? It's like you guys, all those years, you guys never had a constitution.
Yeah, it was the British North American Act was what it was known as, right? So, and even to this day with the Bill of Rights and Freedoms, like I think that's only, and I'm not an expert by any means, but I think it's been sort of brought into, like the British, absorbed into the British North American Act, essentially, is kind of how it works. So it's just, and there's a lot of criticism regarding the elder Trudeau and his role and the way that it was designed, and now the latter day implications, how it's exploited, not in the sense that you would hope, but it gives, well, it's just with more powers to the state and trampling on and completely ignoring the rights of individuals, unless it's to their advantage, as far as for the
I've got to give kudos to Trump though, because at least now Trump's finally stepping up and doing something with you Canadians. Like you guys were just sitting around and stuff, and it's about time and somebody puts you to work.
Yeah, playing hockey, having maple syrup with our pants,
smoking too much weed.
Next thing you know, it's going to be posted all over the tabloids, like the Inquiry.
Shooting moose, and we were like,
shooting, out hunting, trap line shooting, too many moose.
You guys,
fishing, and God only knows what. Yeah.
Saying "a" with every second word, like what I'm doing right now,
saying, dude. Like a.
Okay, I've got a couple of thoughts on this one.
More letters in the alphabet than that.
Let's hear them, eh?
The entire invasion of Canada is ludicrous. It's absolutely ludicrous. First of all, you've got to consider Canada's relationship with Britain, as in the Commonwealth of Nations, and also NATO. Any country that tries to invade
and NORAD, as
indeed.
well.
I was watching a documentary a couple of days ago, actually, in relation to China's naval military strength, and in reality, from what I could conclude from that, is that they could go on the various islands, so Taiwan as an example, but they would not be able, they do not have the capability to actually go out deep in sea.
Their ships are powered by steroid enhanced hamsters that run on wheels.
Indeed. The thing that I'm going to be interested in over the next year or so is in relation to the United States and Mexico and Canada agreement, which is the agreement treaty that was implemented in 2020 that replaced NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement.
That's going to be gone. Trump's already said that he didn't like the changes.
That was the first thing that he did when he came into office last time. He signed, he did away with changed. That and the WHO.
It was changed, though, by Biden when he took office.
Oh, of course. That was the first thing Biden endorsed and brought back on board. With this
USMCA is still
one person at a time, please.
I believe that USMCA is a ongoing treaty at this present moment.
But he has made it clear that it's gone. He doesn't like the changes that were made to it. And like the thing that I know that he is being serious about, he just made a speech about it like 2 or 3 days ago, is Panama. He said that if he has to, he will resort to military force.
Again, NATO.
NATO is a proxy. NATO is a proxy of the United States, dude. Everybody keeps bringing NATO up. NATO is a proxy of the United States. Who do you think pays the bill when it comes to NATO and NORAD? It is the United States.
And Panama is part of the U.S. is what's known as a sphere of influence, and a lot of it goes back to the so-called Monroe Doctrine. Mm-hmm. And, that's where I guess they kind of bump up against the northern border via Canada. But as far as the southern hemisphere is concerned, South America, Latin America, that
it's all
bets are off. It's like but once again, economically, I think is the first option and way of approaching things. And we'll see. He's only got 4 years to accomplish what he's wanting to set out to do. So hopefully
you guys remember
diplomatically, ideally, because look,
do you remember
let me just finish, Roger. Let me just finish, man. It's a really kind of important point. And feel free to disagree, but this is straight out of the mouth of RFK Jr., which kind of drove it home, helped to drive it home for me. Maybe he was he doesn't know what he's talking about, but he said that the first primary number one requisite or reason, responsibility for the president is to keep his country out of war, not to do what he can, all that he can to draw it into another wider conflict, but to defend and to keep out of war. So we'll see if that's the case with Trump. I don't know, man. He's got some good people there. Tulsi Gabbard, she's the head of the director of national intelligence now, is what he's appointed?
She is. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Now, all I was trying to say is, you guys, the only thing that's holding anybody in the United States back from the southern part of the Americas is the non-aggression pact that we made, where we said that we wouldn't expand our territories.
With Mexico and then beyond, you're saying?
Yeah, anything on the American continent, North and South America, we wouldn't expand any further.
Not familiar with that, with this non-aggression pact. Never heard of it.
It happened after we took our final state, which was Hawaii, I believe it was.
What year was
no,
it?
it was actually not Hawaii. It was
Dominican Republic?
Alaska was the last country we
No.
had.
No, man. What's that Latin American country that Puerto Rico?
No, Puerto Rico is a territory.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
they kind of fall under the U.S.
They
has.
U.S. Commonwealth, yeah.
Aren't
they
there
still
Puerto
have
Rican
protection.
senators in the American Congress?
They still have the American citizenship. Territories do, but they aren't
They
officially
vote for the
state.
they vote for the president.
Yeah, they do, but they don't have citizenship. Like they're not American
Well,
citizenship.
Yeah.
Well, no, they have citizenship. They just don't. They're not a state. It's just like we had the territories here in the West, like Arizona and all that, before they became a state. And that's where the aggression pact comes into play. That like even though they have territories, they're not ever going to expand the country to where they're an official state. That's it.
Uh-huh.
And like that's one reason. Like whenever we went into Iraq, and we never took that as a territory, we never took Afghanistan as a territory. That's the reason why they didn't do it, is because of this non-aggression pact.
What with Iraq and Afghanistan?
No, with every country, we don't want any other territories under the U.S. flag.
Yeah, but they don't need to, because what all is done working with the CIA and beyond is insurance that the right people are put into power with the right type of style administration and staff.
Well, I mean,
Iran, 1979.
I mean,
What-
if I had my choice, we would have taken not Savannah, but freaking what is it? The country down south.
El Salvador?
The one with the freaking oil crisis and the communists trying to take over.
Venezuela.
Venezuela
Well,
would have been taken care of a long time ago.
Who was that guy? What was his name? The guy for the president, or they took with cancer. What was his name? Remember the really? I still suspect that he was poisoned. Fast-acting cancer. It's looked all the way from Jack Ruby on down, and probably many others even before that we're not aware, but it's a little too dark. Look at the Canadian NDP leader. It was Naroki might know about that. Remember the former NDP leader that
Jack Layton, yeah. He was Jack Layton is by all means far superior than Jagmeet Singh.
He's gone though. He's gone, so that's convenient.
Yeah. It's the whole thing about this is that it's a double-edged sword. Trump has to secure the border, and he has to do it in about 4 years' time, right? Because there's a possibility that a Democrat
will work together. He'll
work it. But I mean, in the meantime, what's currently going on here is Trudeau is attempting to twist what Trump is doing around to distract away from what he's attempting to do.
How so? What do you mean?
Trudeau resigned, remember?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's been facing a lot of he's unpopular right now.
That was right after his visit to Mar-a-Lago. Within like 2 weeks of Mar-a-Lago or whatever.
Yeah, he has to try to at least try to make sure that the Liberals maintain official opposition status at the next election. Part of that is to try to drum up any support he can, and right now Trump is making for a very convenient target.
Great.
Yeah, I don't know if it could backfire though too. We'll see, because they've during his time in office, and we'll see how this second one plays out, because he's been dealt a really it's pretty devastating what's happened to both countries, courtesy of the Biden and Castro administration. So both Trump and Paul Revere have got a lot to address, and it's not going to be easy to essentially make bring things together, make it so the economy is back on track, and the illegal, the invaders that have been allowed to enter into the both countries are sent packing essentially, and then the fentanyl issues tackled, and you name it. So yeah,
and also not to mention the fact that Trudeau has been doing everything he can to ruin the country before Polyev. That Daniel Smith has actively said that she's putting up firewalls to make sure Trudeau's damage to Alberta is at least minimized.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So I mean, he's a lot to distract from, and he's using Trump as an attempt to distract away from what he's doing. And
I think it's going to backfire.
It is backfiring again, right? It's not like it was 5 or 6 years ago. There is now an alt media in place that's not bought off, and the media that is in place they've taken some really major severe hits over the past few. Well, first of all, they lost a shit ton. They lost a shit ton of credibility. Most of them did over what happened over COVID, and they didn't learn. Most of the outlets didn't learn their lesson, and they just kept going. And yeah, it's sort of like, trust for the media is way down, trust for alt media is way up, and now it's gotten to the point now where it's like Trudeau can say whatever he wants to the media. Keep in mind, though, there are still people out there who are stupid enough to believe the news from the magic screen in their living room. And I know there are, because every single night when I come back into the cafeteria from work, there's at least one television in that dining hall that is turned on to CNN, like every single time I walk in there. So there are people who are still fucking buying it. Anyway, let's move on to. Yeah, because once again, we're pushing almost 40 minutes on this one. So, and we still got one more topic to go. Okay, so let's just move on to the last topic here. And no, I don't want to be going till it's like it's a manosphere topic, but I don't want to be here till like 1:30 in the morning. It's 12:46 a.m. here. All right, I don't want to be here till like 1:30 in the morning discussing this.
30 past 1:30.
Where you are, yeah. 'Cause I don't have to be at work till 9, but it's like, yeah, I don't want to be up
like
too
2:30
late.
your time, dude.
It's 12:46 here.
12:46,
Anyway,
yeah.
Right. Okay. All right, so the last topic, and you were talking about who were you just asking me about Brittany Venti? She's a what?
She's a sex fan.
Yeah. There is a certain, before OnlyFans, there were a certain segment of women on both, specifically on YouTube, but on YouTube and Twitch, and there still are on Twitch, by the way. But what they would do is they would post up sexy content, and they would link it up to at that time. This is before OnlyFans. They would link it up to their personal websites. Brittany Venti is one of those women, and I've seen a few of them come and go from YouTube. Right, they'll go on, and they'll show just enough cleavage to make you look, and then they will say whatever the fuck it is they want to say, and most guys will just simply eat it up. Right now, Brittany Venti, keep in mind there were a couple women who were like that, who actually did have some intelligent things to say. Brittany Venti, from what I saw, was not one of them. The thing that stood out to me about Brittany Venti is that Brittany Venti knew how to say stuff that pissed people off. And like willfully ignorant crap. And it was like listening to her. Well, it's like having a conversation with most women in their early 20s. It's like after you speak to them for about half an hour, it's like, conversation is really dull. Let's just get on to the sex, please.
Shut your mouth and take it.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's like, shut up, bitch, take it.
It's like that's what the majority of them are like. It's sort of like, and Brittany Venti was a little bit smarter than most of them. And I would say, well, if she didn't have a luscious rack, she would probably be only maybe about a 6 or 7 on a good day. But the luscious rack bumps her up to about a 7 or 8, at least with me. But again, right, a lot of guys, that's still with me, luscious rack aside, if there's no brain power there, I'm still going to get really not interested in listening to what you have to say very quickly, right? So it would be like, okay, we've talked for 40 minutes. You've talked yourself out. You don't have anything more that's interesting to talk about. Let's move on to the more physical recreational relationship stuff. That would probably be that would be the politically correct, that would be the no way I don't get banned off YouTube way of saying it.
Oh, you're on YouTube right now?
No, but this does get posted up at YouTube.
I was ready to say, dude, I just called her. I told her to shut her mouth and take it. And like that could be a strike on YouTube if I.
Well, if somebody reported it, again, right? I'm not on YouTube. This does get posted up to YouTube, though. If heaven forbid it gets taken down or isn't allowed to be posted, oh gee,
it's my fault.
I lose 5% of my following. Oh my, whatever will I do?
It's my fault because I'm a dirty boy. I'm just a dirty boy. I talk nasty to women.
So anyway, I'm
a dirty boy.
Okay, so yeah.
Oh, and I was wrong. It was the Monroe Doctrine.
As opposed to for what?
For the non-aggression pact thing I was talking about.
Yeah, okay, yeah, all right, yes, I remember that now. Brittany Venti has said some fairly inflammatory things. The thing that I most remember Brittany Venti for, though, at least recently, was two things. One, and this is again from the manosphere, there's an issue in particular in the manosphere with MGTOW. I mean, there's been guys in MGTOW that have called out other guys that claim to be MGTOW who will literally forget everything they were told about women the moment they get one blowjob. And that's literally what happened with this content creator named Think Before You Sleep. Think Before You Sleep had some very good MGTOW content. And then Brittany Venti got her fingers on him because, of course, Think Before You Sleep actually had money because he was a successful YouTuber with some financial savvy. Literally, one of the first things she got, because Brittany Venti has been really stupid, critical, but in a really stupid way about MGTOW. Of course, a lot of this particular ilk of woman, she says a lot of stuff and then goes silent the moment you challenge her on it. But what she got Think Before You Sleep to do was literally take down all of his MGTOW content. And I was like, okay, dude, all right, so you sold out for pussy. That's
That's
like
crazy,
literally,
man.
he sold out for pussy. It's sort of like you just did something that is contrary to everything that you've been talking about
Well, I mean,
for years.
how good
Maybe it was all staged. Maybe it was all set up to
No, it
play
wasn't.
the way
It wasn't all. It wasn't all staged. There was
Hey,
photos of them together.
No. What I'm saying is that
there's
maybe
all the
they
other
from
stuff.
the get go that he was like a COINTEL kind of like counter MGTOW operative, basically. Who was sent in saying, okay, this is your mission to go in, produce a pro MGTOW content, then you'll have your girlfriend come in here. That's
funny.
all the line, and then come in, and then because what it does, remember remember Yuri Bezmenov, the Russian KGB guy, talking about demoralization.
Yeah, I know. Brittany Venti's not that smart.
Okay, what I'm saying is that it would be a perfect scenario, though, if well, maybe I am, as far as orchestrating things. Like if you gotta think like they do, basically at the highest levels where they stage these sort of deals, right? With the social media influencers in particular, at that magnitude.
Well,
So,
I mean, you yourself said she
curious.
was an 8. You yourself said she was an 8. So I mean, maybe she had something that was worth freaking saying hell yeah.
Well, yeah, they had the luscious rack. The luscious rack is worth it. Anyway, but anyway, so
is the relationship going to work out? I guess is we interesting.
Well, will you let me finish? I can explain the whole thing here.
Really weird.
Okay, so no, I don't think Brittany Venti is that fucking smart to be a fucking agent to take out. Because first of all, think before you sleep was not that important. So she got him to dump all of his MGTOW content, and they were together for a while, and then like literally right after Think Before You Sleep got the ring, she dumped him. So now he's out of a relationship. Yep. He's out a shit ton of money, and he's lost all his fucking credibility inside the manosphere because he fucking sold out for pussy.
He got played. He got set up and played. Just like I said, she's an operative.
I mean, if the
but for who? But for who, man? It's definitely not an intelligence agency because again, Think Before You Sleep was not that important.
She did a good job in taking him out. So the question is, who does it benefit? Even if she is a lone wolf sort of operative, that she did a good job.
I think, you're attributing way more intelligence to somebody who is not that fucking smart.
Oh man,
dude, have you ever written a movie script? I think you have.
I have, yeah.
Well, there you go. Write one. You just got another one to write.
Yeah, Brittany Venti is not that smart. And then the other thing Brittany Venti did was, I've mentioned this guy a few times on my show, Rollo Tomasi. There was an attack done by Lord Southern, Destiny, and a couple of other people to try to get Rollo Tomasi deplatformed off of YouTube. One of those people that was involved was Brittany Venti. Brittany Venti allegedly sent Rollo underage nudes of herself to him, which Rollo was smart enough to not open. And he went on air and he called Brittany Venti out in person and he said, yeah, you know what? You just violated the law. I know you live in Texas. You just violated the law. Back the fuck off, or I'm going to go to the police and charge you, or I'm going to hit you with a lawsuit. And she backed right the fuck off, right? That didn't stop her from posting up stupid, inane content. But now we get into the part where she says that she's retiring. Now, here's the really weird thing about this. I was mentioning Tomi Lahren a while ago. She is the same age now as Tomi Lahren did when she made that Men Are Trash video. And in her retirement announcement on Twitter, she specifically said that she's doing this because she, quote unquote, wants to start a family or whatever. And she's hit that age where she's hit the epiphany stage, that 28 to 32, where they start looking to settle down because the wall's not that far off. I personally can't stand Brittany. Listening to her, the times that I listened to her was just like, it was enough to make me face palm. She's not the stupidest YouTube content creator that's out there, but she's definitely not. Again, this is why I keep telling you, Jeffy, she's not nearly as smart as you think she is. You know, attributing intelligence to somebody who's not that smart. You know, she won't be missed. There are a dozen other YouTube content creators just as good looking. Yeah, her eyes are kind of far apart. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, she's definitely got some she's got that sexuality about her. Absolutely. And she knows how to use it to the best of her ability. However, being able to use your sexuality does not necessarily make you smart.
I'm not looking at her intelligence. I mean, at all. It's not even an option. Not in my book. Okay.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be in my book either if I met her socially. But I mean, she chose to be a YouTube content creator who made really stupid shit.
Well, right? I mean, you know, this dude dumped all his shit on his internet and everything. His mate, his men shit because of a woman. Okay, and she's not smart apparently. And first of all, like I said, I wouldn't be interested in her intelligence whatsoever in the situation.
I have met numerous guys that have told monstrously stupid shit over a decent pair of boobs.
Right. So that means not only is she stupid, but he's stupid too. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I mean, the thing about Think Before You Sleep is this is a guy, and I listened to some of his content. This is a guy who should have fucking known better.
Yeah. Really, should have. Because she's not a bad-looking girl.
No, you will not get any argument out of me about that, right? 8 out of 10 would bang. And she's dumb as, well, I mean, she's maybe not dumb as rocks, but she's definitely, like, intellectually, she's nothing special.
She's the epitome of a female. Like, from what I've seen so far of her, she gets on there and, like, she reads off all these women's tweets and shit and talks about, like, photoshopping their bodies and stupid shit. Like, stupid shit done.
Yeah. It's the stuff that kind of makes my eyes roll, basically. Right. She's not that smart. Like, she's just not that freaking smart. And again, she looks pretty good. She's got a high degree of sexuality, but again, right? I mean, some of the stuff that she said, some of the stuff that she involved herself in, and some of the stuff that she said specifically about the manosphere, it's sort of like, what are you, a fucking idiot? And again, the moment you challenge her, right, she shuts up, and there's no shortage of simps and beta boys willing to come in and defend her, to the point of absolute and utter stupidity, I should point out.
Now, beta boys. What's a beta boy?
It's my term for a beta.
Like, okay.
A beta male. Okay. Which is a term from the manosphere, which I really don't want to start getting into long semantics about, for Christ's sakes, is because it's 1 o'clock in the morning.
Thankfully, I've got very little idea about who she is, so I can't really comment, apart from looking at the images of her.
Where are you getting? Oh, that's right. Yeah, you that's right. You're probably looking them up on the internet. She's got a wicked body. She retired, and it's sort of like, you know, when I saw the announcement, it was like Rollo Tomasi had up on his Twitter. It's like, let's have one more win before the end of the year, and I consider it a win. Right? Like, she looks hot. She's got a rockin' body. I would bang, but I mean, would I want to be involved in a long-term relationship with her? No. Would I be wanting to listen to what she has to say? Absolutely not. But there's that problem, and this has been talked about in the MGTOW community, and think before you sleep should have known better, because he interacted with other MGTOW content producers, and they all talk about this. Like, don't be that guy that sells the fucking farm because you're suddenly getting laid. And that's exactly what Think Before You Sleep did.
Yep. He got played.
Oh, he got played big time.
I mean, because like, there's a good chance that this girl, from the way she looks, she looks like she was way out of his league, because she is really hot. I mean, I think her eyes and her hair is what really does it for her. And like, whenever, because face it, I mean, most guys, we're freaking mostly like the nerdish kind of guy who doesn't really get too much action, you know what I'm saying, when we're young. And then when some beautiful girl comes up on you, freaking, you just turn to butter. The general guy does, you know what I mean? And
yeah, it depends on age and experience too.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to remember, we're talking about a younger guy. We're not talking about guys our age. You know what I'm saying?
You mean the sort of stereotypical sort of bloke in his parents' basement looking at internet porn sort of thing.
Kind of like you, Mark. Pretty much your prototypical.
Hardly.
What you've laid out there. So be on guard. Watch yourself. Don't get sucked in.
So anyway, I had to throw that in as a victory lap. She's gone. Good riddance. Yeah, you look great, but for me, she's the epitome of, again, what why did I just what Roger was talking to you about the sex
what's the name? Femme?
Yeah, the sex femme.
Yeah, she's a typical. She looks really good, and she might be a little bit smarter than the average chick, but in the end, I mean, it's like listening to her was enough to make me glaze over. And not in the other way, but I'm talking about mentally.
Oh, yeah. I would glaze over. I would glaze all over her, dude. I would glaze so much, dude. It'd be glazing up in here. But, I'm just saying,
glazing saddles with Roger Hansen.
That's right.
Yeah, brought to you by WPRPN, the People's
Glazing Saddles with Roger and Brittany.
Now, Naroki, you're the expert here. Now, technically, is she like a conservative, or is she a woke, or what?
Well, she's not. She's not woke, but I mean, she's. I think she is go whatever way the trend just happens to be going. But I mean, in her particular case, I think she decided that she was going to use her sex appeal to appeal to the non-woke crowd, and which is exactly where she went. I don't think she had any particular, like Lauren Southern, I don't think she had any particular loyalty to it. It was just the simps and the betas were just a source of income for her, period.
That's one thing I wasn't able to make clear on it. You know what I mean? It's kind of weird. So,
okay. Does anybody else have anything more to add on this one? Because again, we're past 1 o'clock in the morning.
We better get off here before you start having a meltdown, dude. So.
Ready to put this one to bed?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, I'm ready to put this one to bed too. So that concludes for God.
But hang on. But before we do, we got to remember to reintroduce ourselves and remind listeners of who they've been tuning into here. Tonight, this afternoon, this morning, whenever they manage to access this top-notch, high-quality, archived conversation.
About how about Roger and Brittany would play Glazing Saddles at the high quality content.
Value-added content via Patreon. So I'm Jaffe Ryder, the Chief Communications Officer of the Robin Hood flagship to Pirate Radio podcasts, and Of course, as always, the wider WPRPN.com, World Pirate Radio Podcast Network. So great to have reconnected here, Naroki, and let's keep the ball rolling, steady as she goes.
Okay, anybody else want to do intros, or are we done here tonight?
I've already done mine at the beginning, so I'm good to go.
Really done one. Yeah.
All right. Don't forget to remember our current sponsor, the Jaguar 2025 electric Jaguar 6969, comes in hot pink, powder blue, and 26 shades of brown, with the vibration attachment for the ladies, so that Roger and Brittany can play Glazing Saddles together in the car. And it comes complete with a MAGA spur generator, so you can hang out with people freaking out about the fact that Trump is in office now, going into the bathroom 18 times a day, jerking off to Orange Man Bad, using Orange Man Bad handball, and hopefully no more cherry blisters for them. And that is it for tonight. That is it for tonight.
You're just weird, man. You're just
All right, I'm leaving.
All right, that's it